T-Mobile.com/5G for you for details.
This is the Dallas Cowboys Pepsi Postgame Show. Pepsi, proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys. Now, here's Zach Wolchuk and Bryan Broaddus.
Looking into the end zone, there's the fade to McLaurin, and he's got it easily. Touchdown, Washington. Just a perfect throw by Mariota over the top of Donovan Bland for the Washington touchdown with 2 seconds left.
It really was a tremendous catch by scary Terry McLaurin as the Commanders get the win, 23-19 in the season finale here at AT&T Stadium. Cowboys going 7-10, 2-7 at home this year, and the Commanders improving to 12-5, 5-3 on the road as they're postseason bound, and they'll probably have that 6th overall seed heading to L.A. to take on the Rams in Wild Card Weekend. What a finish this one was as the Commanders got up 16-12 in the fourth quarter. Cowboys go on an 8-play, 70-yard drive. Rico Dowdle punches it in, 19-16 Cowboys. Quick 3-and-out by the Commanders there after it was a sack party by the Cowboys. Chauncey Golston responsible for a sack and a half of those during the quick 3-and-out. And then the Cowboys deciding not to go for it.
Yeah, that was strange.
On 4th and 1, instead they take the delay of game penalty. They end up punting on 4th and 6 now at their own 48. And the Commanders are able to convert their own 4th and 1 near midfield. Marcus Mariota faking out everybody, including Malik Hooker, who put his hand up thinking, yes, we got the stop. Instead, Mariota is able to run free for 33 yards. They get it down, 2nd and goal at the Cowboy 5, and Mariota to McLaurin, which you just heard there from Brad Sham for the 5-yard touchdown strike, ends it for Washington. Zach Wolchuk alongside the Super Bowl winning scout Bryan Broaddus here in the Miller Lite Field Club postgame show brought to you by Pepsi, made for Cowboys watching. And you said it, Brian. You were like, look, this team's been living on the edge all year long. Yeah. They certainly did. 6 seconds left. I was thinking, do you have enough time?
Yeah.
Well, they certainly did.
They absolutely had enough time for them. They knew that they were in a situation with Terry McLaurin and his ability, the matchup. They went after Bland in that one. So that tells you the confidence that they have. Bland and McLaurin had been going at it really all day. Really the difference in this game was the Cowboys' inability down in the red zone was a problem.
Yeah.
But Marcus Mariota coming in the second half and playing outstanding football for them. His accuracy, the ball handling stuff, I mean, everything about him. The run was tremendous. And, the Commanders were, they were playing for something here. I know the Packers just lost to the Bears, so that kind of makes the Commanders would have been the 6th seed, Packers at 7. But, man, that was, there was just – I didn't understand and it was just odd when you get in that 4th and 1 situation, run a play there, make a decision. Instead, you take the delay. I hope that somebody in this room next to us, of the Clarence Hills and the Tommy Arsh and those guys and all those
Mickey,
guys over there.
Tim Calishaw in there.
Tim Calishaw.
Our guy Mac Engel.
Please ask him what he was thinking on 4th and 1.
Yeah.
I just – to me, that right there was inexcusable.
Well, and you had some options.
You had a
Aubrey
bunch of
for a
options,
field
yes.
goal, or you just go for it on 4th and 1. What do you have to lose?
Go for it on 4th and 1. Try and get the first down. Make them use all their timeouts. Kill some more clock. Maybe drive that thing further into field goal range. That was odd football right there.
Was the thinking crazy with how well your defense had played, basically 3-and-out, the previous
Well, they really
possession?
hadn't stopped Marcus Mariota. I mean, I know the one...
They just had, but you're right.
The one stop,
they had.
And they get the face mask, so that gives them a first down off the sack off Wilson. But, it was just, listen, Marcus Mariota in the second half was the difference in that football game. The way that he was able to play. And then Dallas's inability to do absolutely anything in the red zone was a big problem today.
Well, and certainly the sequence, and we were talking about this together after halftime. I mean, at halftime we said, hey, you had the chance to double dip.
Yeah.
So going into the half, you're in the red zone. Trey Lance is escaping the pocket, and he has Rico Dowdle open for what should have been a touchdown. Unfortunately,
couldn't get him the ball, yeah.
They come out to start the second half. Again, they go right down the field, and they're inside the 10-yard line, and they come up short again without anything. They get a field goal. So you got 2 drives there where you're inside the 10, you come away with 3 points. I mean, that's really kind of a microcosm of how this season has been all year. Red zone opportunities, not good play calling, not good execution, and defensively, when you needed to stop at the end of the game, you weren't able to really get one.
No, you really weren't. And I think a lot of it has to do, too, when you talk about they haven't had that many red zone trips this year. You know, if you look as compared to how they were last year, boy, this team really, and it just all season long, just they struggle to have to put, you know, good plays together, unfortunately. But I'm at a loss for what happened on that 4th and 1. To me, that's a green light go right there. And, you know, line up, run a play, get the first down. You'd had a little success with Hunter Lipke and guys like that, but wow, that was, you know, if you're going out to try and win a football game, that was the one that I look at right there that say, okay, you let that one go. You botched the game right there because of that decision that you made. I'd be real interested to hear what his explanation is for that.
Yeah, the Cowboys were 1 for 2 on 4th down. In total, 1 for 6 in red zone opportunities today.
Awful.
1 of 6. The Commanders on the other side were 3 for 3.
Yeah.
They were perfect in their execution. Cowboys also 11 penalties, 68 yards. And a huge one was when you do pin them back deep to start that game-winning drive, the face mask from Donovan Wilson.
Yeah, and Dono was trying to make a play there, and, you know, unfortunately the hand gets into the face mask area, and that's an easy call. We knew going into this game that Clete Blakeman's crew was going to be, this is the second most penalizing crew in the National Football League, and you see why.
877-881-1053 is the number to call, the number to text, 877-881-1053, as we put a bow on this Dallas Cowboys season after they finish 7-10. They lose the finale at home to the Commanders 23-19. Trey Lance, though, making his first start as a Cowboy, goes 20 of 34, 244 yards, had a couple of big plays down the field, a 32-yarder to Tolbert, a 33-yarder to Turpin. I think there was another 22-yarder to Turpin in there as well. You had a 19-yard play to Jake Ferguson. I mean, you had the opportunity to get a touchdown pass to Dowdle. We mentioned that. That one was shorted a little bit. A couple of plays.
He missed Cooks on the back of the end zone, too, in the corner there. He's just got to throw it to the pylon.
Right.
His accuracy at times is really, really good, and then other times you see the ball sail on him. It's kind of like he does not understand who he's throwing to.
And I think we saw during the red zone trips, I mean, you go back to Oxnard now. That was an area where things
that
really
absolutely was an area.
And that was on display today.
You're absolutely right about that. Some of the bigger problems that they had in practices in Oxnard were his red zone turnovers and then his inability to make the plays down there.
A big part of it, we talked about Trey Lance's legs and how could he impact the game that way. 6 carries, 26 yards. Really didn't have a ton, if any, designed plays to use him in the running game. You
the
saw
quarterback draws were a couple of things,
And you saw the elusiveness of him being able to extend some plays as well. But, you know, maybe would have liked to see Trey Lance use those legs specifically in the red zone a little bit more. I mean, I looked over at you, and you mentioned the draw. I was thinking, hey, you got a quarterback that can run it. That's one aspect of it Cooper Rush couldn't do. Maybe you dial up the quarterback draw here inside the 5-yard line.
Very, very few designed runs for Trey Lance today. I think that was something they're going to look back on and say they maybe should have thought about it a little bit more. But, you know, here we are. You know, now we're into that mode where it becomes, you know, the green trash bag day on Monday. You know, everybody's packing stuff up and, you know, heading up the different directions. This season's over, and now you're into a situation. Will the Jones family, will they make a decision on this head coach in the coming days? They have until really the 14th to really negotiate with him. We'll see what him, Don Yee, the others involved, or are they just going to let him go on, and are they going to have a full-blown coaching search coming up here in the next 2 weeks?
A lot of texts coming in. You know, Jake Ferguson with 3 penalties today. It was just not the season that we were hoping for, and I'm sure he was hoping for either.
No.
For Jake Ferguson, 2 catches today, 12 yards. He did have a couple of false starts and a couple of other penalties. Had a drop mixed in there as well. Maybe it could have been a more catchable pass from Trey Lance there, or they're trying to hit him in the flat, get him the football, let him make some plays after the catch. Got hurt that first game in Cleveland, but I said it on our show on the flagship 105 through the fan on the G-Bag Nation, which you can catch 2 to 7 p.m., man, Fergie was a guy I was looking to ascend this year in 2024. Put his name in the conversation among the top 5 tight ends in the league. Unfortunately, that just never happened for him this year.
Never did, and, you know, they couldn't really get him going. The quarterback wasn't playing all that well early. The offensive line wasn't playing very well early. They couldn't run the football. The play caller was out of sorts. This is really a year offensively that the Cowboys need to forget. Now, CeeDee Lamb, you know, had his moments, had a lot of targets in these games, but really this offense took a big step back as opposed to where they were last year at this time.
It did, and you've got to include the evaluation of the offense prior to Dak getting hurt, and the offense was not playing even with your quarterback.
Yep.
So I don't really want to hear the injury excuse, because you can't really fall back and say, like, well, the offense was humming.
Well, Stephen Jones tells us when we visit with him, he's like, listen, the world's smallest violin, nobody feels sorry for him on the injuries, so they're surely not going to use that as an excuse.
No. 877-881-1053. A lot of different talking points we can get to here as the Cowboys fall 23-19. You brought up wide receiver.
Yeah.
No CD, of course, today. Tolbert ends up getting a career-high 98 yards on 4 catches. He had 6
Did a nice
targets.
job today getting open.
Mingo with a couple of catches for 24 yards. Brandon Cooks in what might be his final game as he's an impending free agent as a Dallas Cowboy, 3 for 15. And then Ryan Flanoy, the rookie 6th-rounder, 2 for 14. I'm not including the tight ends in here, but how are we feeling about this receiving group? Turpin as well, who's a restricted free agent, 3 for 53, behind CeeDee Lamb moving forward.
Well, we'll see where the draft order is going to come down here.
Cowboys with 12 right now. They're picked 12. We got to wait for these other ones. But Indianapolis got the win. That helped the Cowboys. They jump ahead of the Colts. Colts at 8 and 9 with the win today. They fall behind the Cowboys. Cowboys at 7 and 10. They're at pick 12.
So you're waiting for San Francisco as well, right?
San Fran, Arizona, going to be playing here this afternoon. So we'll keep an eye on that during the postgame.
So right now you're sitting in the 12 hole.
Yep.
You and I have already started on our draft prep and started looking at guys. We've looked at the wide receivers from Ohio State, from Missouri, all these Arizona. We've started to kind of look at that list of the groups of guys. I think that wide receiver is definitely a need for this football team. I think they're going to have to do some things to maybe go and find a true second receiver. Brad Sham said it during the broadcast there. Some of the things that happens with Tolbert, he looks like a 2, and then other times he looks like a 4. So, you have got to figure out, you've got to go out and get somebody that could be more of a true 2. And then if Tolbert's a 3 or a 4, you can live with that.
And then the offensive line, I know pregame, Eric was stressing, and I quite frankly agreed with him. You've got to play Tyler Guyton. They do. They played Tyler Guyton. They had Chumadoga inactive, but then what happens late in the first half, they bench Guyton.
Yeah.
And they put in Awesome Richards. I'm wondering to myself, is this now a scenario where we've talked a lot about Guyton as your starter in the future, left tackle? Maybe Awesome Richards is a guy that's going to have a chance to compete for that job next year.
Well, I think you're in also a mode, too, though, Zach, where you have to think about if there is a new coaching staff here.
That's a great point.
That new staff will come in. They'll get up to speed on, with Will McClay and the scouts and talk about, hey, this is what our team looks like. The coaches will take a look at the team and make their own evaluations. With Guyton's situation, a lot, I think, depends on new coaching staff or not. If the same ones are here, then it's going to be a little bit more, okay, we understand the player, and maybe there's a little bit more competition at that left tackle spot.
Mike McCarthy, we will hear from in what may or may not be his final press conference as head coach of the Cowboys. I mean, he's going to have, you've said it, he's going to have some options. I know that some people don't want to believe that, but there are some jobs out there and some teams that might have some interest outside of the Cowboys in bringing Mike McCarthy to be their head coach.
A veteran coach who has skins on the wall. He does have a Super Bowl victory. I mean, there's obviously, maybe it's a situation where if he were to go somewhere else, he's talked about the Scott Tolzien's and guys like maybe Scott Tolzien's the coordinator. I mean, there's a lot of things. I just don't personally. I think like that Mike McCarthy. This is going to be one of those things where once the Joneses make the decision whether to bring him back or let him go, I think Mike McCarthy is going to be sitting in a spot where he potentially could end up in a place like New Orleans, who is very, very familiar with his work.
Yeah, certainly was a coach there in New Orleans previously. We've heard the Bears as a rumor. Chicago ends up knocking off Green Bay. You mentioned a little bit earlier in the post. That gave Washington in itself, even without the win, the 6th seed there in the NFC.
That's huge for them to
huge win for Chicago. I don't know when the last time they beat the Packers was. Maybe there was sometime recent that I'm completely overlooking, but it feels like the Packers own the Bears.
Yeah, it's like the Packers were kind of thinking about just playing, and I was worried but when Dan Quinn threw Marcus Mariota out there in the second half, I'm thinking, is he giving up on this? But heck, he knew exactly. It's like a Major League Baseball manager knowing when to pitch hit somebody, because they were going nowhere with Jaden Daniels. Mike Zimmer, his defense had a really good plan. Now the pressure wasn't as much as it was very, very early in this game. They didn't get the pressure that they had earlier, and that's something that they're going to have to look at.
No,
again.
that's spot on, because it really took until that second to last drive where they forced Washington 3 and out.
Right.
And they had 2 sacks on the 3 plays on Marcus Mariota. But Mariota was great. 15 of 18, 161 yards, a couple of touchdowns.
The run.
And then the big run on 4th down, where, he faked out everybody. But that's one. Malik Hooker, who I think probably had his best game of the season until that last play today, saved his best for the end. That's one he's going to be sick to his stomach watching as he's celebrating, thinking, oh, yeah, we got the stuff. And then, boom, here's Mariota with the keeper there. An excellent ball fake there for Marcus Mariota, the former Heisman winner.
Well, you've seen Marcus Mariota. He is a very good athlete, and his ability to move around in the pocket and buy second chances and stuff. And his accuracy today, he threw that ball, that touchdown pass he threw to McLaurin. See, that's the difference. The Cowboys are throwing the ball to Cooks and they're throwing the ball to these. You have CeeDee Lamb maybe down there. Maybe you can make a throw or two. They're throwing to their best receiver for the win, and you're throwing to guys that are probably your 3rd and 4th options down there.
877-881-1053. Commanders beat the Cowboys in the season finale, 23-19. Cowboys 7-10. On the 2024 season. Zach Wolchuk alongside Bryan Broaddus. We'll hear from your calls and texts. We'll hear from the head coach, Mike McCarthy, Trey Lance after his first start as a Cowboy, the voice of your Cowboys, Brad, Sham, and more. You're listening to the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
Every moment, every touchdown, every yard is a reason.
Cowboys. Tito's Handmade Vodka is America's original craft vodka. WinStar World Casino and Resort, proud to be the casino of the Dallas Cowboys. Please game responsibly. Sleep Number. Sleep Number, the official sleep and wellness partner of the Dallas Cowboys. And by Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys.
Okay, now I do think you go for it here. You don't kick the field goal with the field position and all that, but I would love if the game was a little bit different.
I mean, this is a healthy
Wait a minute.
yard.
Excuse me.
1 second to snap. Look at that. They took a delay of game.
Delay of game.
Oh.
Offense. 5-yard penalty. 4th down.
Okay, well, he must have been the punt unit he was bringing up over there, John Fossil.
That's so interesting.
Certainly one of the bigger decisions in the 23-19 Washington win over your Dallas Cowboys as the Cowboys go to 7-10, 2-7 at home this year. That's tied for the second most amount of home losses. Only other worst season was in 1989. They went 0-8. They went winless at home, thanks to our guy Todd Archer for that little stat nugget. But, I mean, certainly, Brian, as we broke that one down, Bryan Broaddus, the NFL Super Bowl champion scout. I'm Zach Wolchuk here from the Miller Lite Field Club. But that 4th down decision where it looks like, hey, you're going to go for it. Maybe you give it to Hunter Lipke. He's had success. Maybe Trey Lance keeps it. Maybe you give it to Rico Dowdle. Instead, you take the delay of game. It's now 4th and 6. You also could have kicked a long field goal with Brandon Aubrey. They punt it. They tried to pin Washington back, and they did at the 9-yard line. But the big sack that had the face mask penalty ended up propelling the Washington drive, putting him at the 30, and it ended with the Scary Terry touchdown to win it with less than 6 seconds left.
You know what? I'm sure there's a really good explanation, Zach, and I'm sorry I don't have one. I know you guys pay me really good money to come on here and talk about why certain things happen during the football game. I have no answer for that one. I have no answer for why, with the game in the balance like that, that you would not try and run it, try and get the first down, but why take a delay game in that situation? You know, and then that forces you, you could go for it and maybe get it, but then the punt, and you could say your defense, defense was playing well, but your defense really wasn't playing well against Marcus Mariota, I mean, you look at their second half and their offense, and you could take that out. I mean, first half, Mike Zimmer had Jaden Daniels' number. There's 2 times he's played that young man, and if I was playing Daniels, I would watch what Mike Zimmer has done to him the last couple of times. But Marcus Mariota came in and won that football game today for the Ravens. Excuse me, for the Commanders. And but man, I do not understand. And that gentleman's going to stand at the podium. He's going to tell me why he did what he did, and I'm sure it's not going to make much sense to me. But then again, I'm not a very smart guy.
Yeah, no doubt. You just cheered for America's team on the field. Now see them on the reels. Cowboys-themed casino games developed by Aristocrat, now at a casino near you. Aristocrat, a proud sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. If you've got a gambling problem, please contact 1-800-GAMBLER for 21 and over. All right. In 619, I'd love Scary Terry McLaurin on this football team. He's a damn good receiver, and he deserves your respect.
He's been a great player on a bad football team for a long time.
I'll do so.
Yeah.
I will. Okay, let's get to the phones. Let's start with our guy Tim in Carthage. Tim, what's going on?
Hey, Zach, it's good to talk to you guys. I'll make it quick, short, because I'm not going to say anything about the Cowboys that hadn't been said for 1,000 times this year. I want to thank you, Zach, and Eric, and Brian. I want to thank you guys for a very enjoyable football season with the show that you put on before and after the game. And I just have one other thing to say, Brian, and that is go Longhorns. Love you guys. Talk to you later.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Tim. We appreciate you, buddy. There he goes, our guy Tim in Carthage. Let's keep the phone calls rolling. I believe we're going to go back out to New Mexico. We got our guy Gary. Gary, what's going on?
Hey, guys. First off, my apologies. I let my passions get the best of me last week, and y'all had to cut me off for some improper language, so I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
But let's move on to 2025. Let's get this stuff behind us. I've got a specific – I don't know how much college tape y'all have looked at, but I'm just curious because I think we have got to get a running game for Dak. They've got to commit to getting a strong running game. And I am all for taking Ashton Jeanty if he's available in the first round. I don't have a problem with that. Mm-hmm. But he may not be. And there's a kid I watched a couple of times out of Iowa. I think his name is Caleb Johnson. And I was just curious on your thoughts about him. Thank you.
Caleb Johnson's an impressive runner. I mean, him, Hampton from North Carolina, Judkins, both kids from Ohio State.
Both kids from Ohio
Judkins
State,
and Henderson.
Mm-hmm.
There is a long list of running backs we could have conversations about, but Caleb Johnson, that kid in the second round, that would be quite a get right there, and that might be a perfect range for him with the Cowboys pick in the second round, depending on what number that ends up being.
Would you take a runner or Banks and play him at guard, the Texas tackle?
I would take Banks and play him at guard.
I see what you're doing.
And the reason is
that would help Dak more than probably,
It's going to help your quarterback. It's going to help the running game and running back stretches, I think, probably more so than any position group in this draft.
Yeah, I've seen some really good running backs. I don't have a lot of confidence in tackles right now.
And it seems like all the tackles we're talking about
are going to play guard.
Playing them at guard,
yeah,
right?
I think that, right now I know on my board 15 first-round grades. This thing is really shallow.
It is.
When it comes to these first-round grades. So Dallas did themselves right by, depending on what happens at San Francisco today, Dallas is sitting there, I believe, in the 12 hole as we speak. So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I think they're in a good spot to grab a pretty good player out of that position.
All right, let's keep the phones rolling here after a Cowboys season finale loss to the Commanders. Let's go out to Round Rock. We got Jim. What up, Jim?
What's up, fellas? Man, I just want to echo Tim McCarthy. Thank you for all the hard work you fellas have done all season, preparing us for the game, after the game. Just y'all are so much part of our Cowboy experience, and you make us smarter and better fans. Brad, I wondered what in the world McCarthy was thinking on that fourth.
I don't know, sir. I really don't know.
The only thing I figure out, he's like, well, I'm coming back and I'm going to get me a better draft. I don't know. I couldn't figure it out.
If he's doing that, then he did exactly like the plan. If he stands at the podium and tells me that, then I'll understand it even more.
Well, I say this. The guys, I like what Zimmer's been able to do with this team. I love that. He's a happy man. I saw he got engaged. Boy, his fiance is the most beautiful thing I've ever laid my eyes on. And hopefully somebody can lobby her a little bit and get her to lean on him. She probably likes it there in Dallas and whatnot. But listen, I just can't tell you how much y'all mean to me and y'all mean to the fans for all the hard work you do. And listen, folks, if you're not listening to these fellers on the G-Bag Nation during the week, you're missing out. And you got to Gary's got to get on the YouTube so he can watch Broaddus and Butch Lombardi tee this thing up. And we got the draft show starting. Yeah, hot dog. We got the soap opera continues, fellers. The soap opera continues. Thank you, and we love you.
Appreciate that. Thank you for the kind
Jim.
words.
We love you. Appreciate all the calls and the texts that we get on this thing, even if we don't always agree.
Don't always.
Maybe we're battling with one another. It's all about the passion, the love for Dallas Cowboys football. And that's what we're here for as we hang out in the Miller Lite Field Club. Zach Wolchuk alongside the Super Bowl winning scout Bryan Broaddus. We'll hear from your head coach Mike McCarthy here in just a little bit. He's taking a little bit longer than usual, I'm sure, as he's probably giving an end-of-season address. And it also might be the final time. We don't know that he gets to talk to the football team. Good point there from Jim when it comes to Zim. If you were to bring back Mike McCarthy, part of that selling point for me would be, I want continuity and Mike Zimmer to come back. We heard about the struggles early in the season, maybe the changing in defensive scheme and everybody being on the same page and the buy-in there. Maybe that's why it took to really the second half to see the benefit of what Zim was able to do. This defense certainly was a bright spot down the stretch this year, but does Mike Zimmer want to come back?
Yeah, that's the question that only Mike Zimmer will know. I mean, I feel like that Mike Zimmer, he did this for himself. He did this for his son Adam, that passed away. Mike loves to coach. His dad was a coach. I mean, Mike is, I go back with Mike into the, competing against Mike in the Super Bowl days when he was here in Dallas, I was in Green Bay. And, you see the passion with Mike Zimmer as a coach. And it was surprising to me that he came out and talked about, hey, initially I should have done more. I should have done this differently. I should have done it my way. That seems very un-Zimmer-like, And so you wonder, though, is Mike going to sit down, now with his new engagement? He has horses he deals with. He's trying to get a horse of his in the Kentucky Derby as an owner. That's a great accomplishment in itself to run that day. Does he really, really, really want to come back? And, only Mike knows that. I think Jerry and Steven and Mike McCarthy, they'd love to be able to run it back, but maybe Mike Zimmer's also looking at it's like, yeah, I did what I needed to do. I helped you guys the best I could, and I just need to move on, and we'll see. Hopefully more sooner than later with the coaching situation.
All right, let's go to Charlie in New Mexico. Charlie on the official postgame show of the Dallas Cowboys.
Hey, guys, thanks for everything this year. And this is a microcosm of the whole season as far as this team and this head coach this game was. I don't understand how Jerry can watch this game and actually want to bring Mike back and have him do the play calling, because this team is 30% on fourth down. I know that's execution and play calling. They're probably the worst in the red zone in the NFL. That's execution and play calling. And the penalties just keep stacking up, and it gets worse as the year goes on, and that's coaching. So I don't understand why he would even bring him back. And if he does, you cannot bring him back and say you're going to call the plays again. Thanks, guys, for everything.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I agree. I think you need something different play calling wise, and that is something we've talked about as well, Brian. Like, I think Mike's had tremendous success as a head coach, and oftentimes maybe he's disrespected by us and some others for the success that he's had. But as an offensive play caller, this offense was struggling with your quarterback. You got to change something.
Yeah, it's just if they all were to come back, the deep dive is this offseason is why it was this way last year, and then as we fast forward to today where we're at, the inconsistency. You can talk about injuries and things like that, but they just were not. They just did not come out with the same type of I'm not going to say creativity, but they didn't come out with the same kind of success.
Yeah.
The quarterback wasn't successful. They weren't able to block well enough. The running game, the red zone stuff. I mean, this team used to be able to put points on the board, and that was a little bit of a problem this year. And, like I say, the red zone numbers, every one of the metrics, it took a big, big dip this year when it came to that.
All right, we'll get back to your calls and texts. We'll hear from the head coach, Mike McCarthy. But up next, let's chat with the voice of your Cowboys, the great Brad Sham. Dallas Cowboys football will continue in a moment.
They say champions are remembered, but legends are never forgotten. United Ag & Turf offers a winning lineup of John Deere equipment built to tackle any challenge on and off the field. Legendary John Deere tractors, combines, residential mowers, commercial mowers, compact construction equipment, Gator utility vehicles, and a full line of golf and sports turf equipment. United Ag & Turf, the official Ag & Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com to find a location near you.
Dallas Cowboys fans know a thing or two about legacy, commitment, and loyalty. That's why Kohler is our proud partner. With more than 150 years of craftsmanship, leading-edge design, and innovation, Kohler kitchen and bathroom products stand out.
justice. Choose Barberi Law Firm for a masterful defense. Call 682-LAW-STAR.
4th and 1. Snap is back. They hand it off. No, he kept it and ran through the middle on a quarterback draw to the 20 and all the way down to the 15. What a great ball fake by Mariota. They faked it to the back who got stuffed, but Mariota kept the ball.
Yeah, what a play that was. What a play fake by Marcus Mariota as Washington goes on to win the game as Terry McLaurin catching a 5-yard touchdown pass from Mariota. 23-19 your final. Commanders improving 12-5 on the year. Cowboys fall to 7-10. Mike McCarthy addressing the media right now. We'll get to him momentarily. We will hear from your owner and general manager Jerry Jones as well. Zach Wolchuk alongside the Super Bowl winning scout Bryan Broaddus here at the Miller Lite Field Club, joined now by the great legendary Brad Sham, the voice of your Dallas Cowboys. And Brad, I know you and Brian were just talking about this off air, but one big talking point we had was that 4th and 1 decision. You could either kick the field goal with Butter Aubrey, which I know you and Babe were talking about. Could it be a record? It wasn't a record. Or you go for it, or you play defense and you pin them deep. Well, they played defense, they pinned them deep. It didn't work out. They went 91 yards for the game-winning score.
Well, first of all, is he early or is he late or am I early?
He's late.
He's late. Okay,
yeah,
good.
He's late.
I don't need this kind of confusion.
No, I've never seen him this late.
Yeah, we were just talking about that, Zach. The field goal's too risky, given what's at stake. If you miss it, you've given them half a field. And clearly, to me, he was saying, I trust my defense, which has had a very good day. Yeah. And I trust my defense to get them to not let them go 90 more than I do. He's just tried a couple of times for the yard. They've been having trouble on the short yardage stuff most of the day. And so, I mean, that's a coin flip, but I didn't have any problem with it at all. Trust your defense, which has been very much keeping you in this game and maybe even potentially winning it for you. And this time, Washington's offense was a little better.
You've been around this football team a long time. Long time.
I have.
What does hay in the barn mean?
That was why are people confused about that? That means all the information I need to have to make a decision on this, I already have that information. What happens on Sunday is not going to influence the decision one way or the other. That was easy.
The hay's in the barn.
Hay's in the barn. So, in his mind, you feel like he's made a decision on this, Coach?
I have not had a conversation with them.
Oh, no,
so
I know.
I do think that, yes. Now, here's what's interesting. There's so many layers.
Yeah.
Does he have conditions?
Yeah.
You guys love to talk about the play calling. I know you just were.
Yep.
And I have.
Oh, we're great OCs.
I don't know. I don't want to suggest. I don't want people to think that I'm saying this is the case.
Yeah.
But right now we're all just fans talking.
Sure.
So what if Jerry were to say, "I want you back. There's 3 years, $10 million a year.
Okay.
I want you to be the head coach and have somebody else call the plays."
Now we're dancing.
Huh?
Now we're dancing.
Okay, well, for you.
Yeah,
maybe
dancing.
not for him.
For Mike, you might say, okay,
maybe
I'll
not for him.
go to New Orleans if I can get that job.
See, that's what I'm saying. Do you, Brad, do you feel like that maybe that Jerry might make him an offer, but it's not a good enough one for Mike McCarthy?
Anything's possible. I think he wants to keep him. I think he wants to keep the staff. I'm very much in favor of seeing what Zimmer can do with these guys for a year with
Mike
better
might
health.
have enough of us.
Zim?
He might have had enough.
I don't think so. Maybe. You never know. I think he still enjoys coaching. But yeah, maybe. And then there's the question of, a couple of years ago, if you remember, they got rid of some veteran coaches. Philbin.
Oh, it was a prisoner swap.
Yeah.
It's like Jerry's getting rid of his prisoners and Mike McCarthy's. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
So if
you want to get rid of Leon Lett? Watch what I do to Rob Davis here.
So what if there are conditions on the staff? That could be a part of it. If McCarthy thinks that he has options, which it appears that he does.
I think he does.
Now, the other thing is, what if Mike says to Jerry, I'm interested in staying. here are 3 things I'd like to see different. I don't know what they would be.
Yeah.
And I'm going to just hear what New Orleans has to say.
You do one less radio show a week.
Well, that's not going to even come up. Here's,
I tried.
Here's what I'm thinking, and I just want to hear what New Orleans has to say.
Oh, okay.
And if that happens, if I'm Jerry Jones and he says that, don't let the door hit you on the backside on the way out.
And I saw a quote, and we'll hear Jerry in just a moment, but he said exactly that. If you want to go and talk to him, talk to him. I don't want anybody here that doesn't want to be here.
There you go.
So
there you go. I think he wants him back. I think that there are intangibles. His kids in school, for instance.
Yes.
His family is very happy.
I lived 5 years in Green Bay. I would be happy being here too.
All right, he's got 2 kids in high school, and they love it here.
Yeah,
so
it's cold up there.
I don't think it bothers him, but,
no.
But his family is really important to him.
Sure,
and they're happy. It's not like it's a bad job.
Right.
There are things about it that he didn't seem to understand. I'm not saying it's the easiest job.
It is not the easiest job.
But. I mean, if I had to, gun to my head guess, I'd guess he's back with most of the staff intact. That'd be my guess.
Do you think that if Jerry were to just offer, say, a 2-year deal, would Mike do it? And I'm asking you a lot of crazy questions here. 2-year deal, but Mike do it just because he wants the staff to have gigs? Staff important, right?
Yeah.
Are we fighting for the staff? How much are we going to fight, how much are we going to fight Jerry Jones on this? You going to fight him a lot?
Well, if you're McCarthy, I don't know how much you need to fight him. Why would you fight him? This is what I want.
Yeah.
This is what you want.
Yeah.
Can we compromise?
Mm-hmm.
If we can, then we got a deal. I'd like to stay. Well, I want you to stay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We agree on a price? Yeah, we can agree on a price. Yeah. Okay. Are there any working conditions that need to be worked out? Well, maybe one or two.
Maybe a few.
Mm-hmm. Maybe one or two.
Maybe one or two.
But, okay, overwhelmingly, we seem to have a consensus that the best things to go forward. And then the other thing is, and I know you and I got into this on this very show just a week ago.
You and I never get in anything.
We do, but only in a very friendly way.
Yeah. You're the wrong kind of Tiger, Missouri man.
Who's on your list to replace him?
Right. See, now this is where this is my job. This is my job. As a front office man, I got to know these things. I got to know who are all the assistants with the Minnesota Vikings. I got to know all the assistants with the Rams.
If he decides,
I know, that's what I'm saying. I'm telling you my job.
If he decides to let him be in a position to leave, then trust me, the legwork will have been done that he's got that list in his hand.
I totally agree with you. I'd hire Mike Zimmer and talk about an offensive coordinator. Mike Zimmer, who would be your offensive coordinator?
Okay. Yeah, maybe. But here's another thing. You got a quarterback coming off a horrific injury who last year had the best statistical year of his life with this guy. And forget about what the quarterback says, which we all know is bring him back.
Right.
But my football instincts tell me, let me have these guys with another year together. Or two.
Brad, we've seen another year together. I want somebody else.
You want somebody new, somebody fresh.
Brad, I just watched him fall apart in the red zone, and it's kind of been that all year.
Long. That's been all year long.
All year long. Your call
was like 5 in the red zone offensively today.
Give
me 2 touchdowns. It's
I know that's what I'm saying. I hear a Brad Champ call. Oh, he's got to throw it to the pylon there.
That's Lance.
Today. Yeah. I know, but man, you're down
Cooper
there.
Rush makes 2 of those.
Well, just call a play.
How do you know he didn't call a play? Lance didn't execute it.
Yeah.
Why is it never the player's fault?
Oh, it is the player's fault. It is the player's fault. I agree with you on that. But it's been all year, Brad. Even with Dak Prescott. And
now we're onto something else. Because if I'm Jerry, one of the things I want to say, and I might say it before we do the deal, or I might say it after we've signed. Okay, we're signed, we're good, we love each other.
Yep.
Now let me tell you something.
This is what we're going to do.
The first quarter of the year on offense, the last 2 years, no.
Yep.
No slow starts, no September football. Figure it out and have the offense competitive. 2 years ago, You won some games because you had a great defense and your special teams scored.
Yeah.
And this year, you didn't quite have that early.
Yeah.
And so I don't want a staggering, why is CeeDee Lamb saying, when can I get the ball, offense for the first quarter of the year. I want that thing. It's not going to be in peak form. I get it.
No.
I want it better than it's been the last 2 years.
Stop making good points.
I have one more question I wanted to ask you.
I'm yours for however long you'd like to keep it.
Let's pause 10 seconds for station identification across the Dallas Cowboys radio network.
Your turn it on, leave it on. Home of America's team is 105.3 The Fan.
Hello, baby.
KRLD-FM and HD1, Dallas-Fort Worth.
An Odyssey sports station.
23-19 Commanders over the Cowboys as we hang out in the Miller Lite Field. Club voice, your Cowboys, Brad Sham with us. And
by the way, pardon my interruption, but the large percentage of your audience and perhaps our flagship station's employees should be happy. They lost the game and they got a better draft choice.
I'll tell you what, Eric Chiafalo right now, him and Nick Bonacani are having a champagne.
Now, can I say something else?
What's that?
And I hope that they are able to keep Will McClay until I'm not doing this job anymore, which I hope will be a while.
Oh, you can come to the lake with me, Brad.
I want better first-round choices than the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Well, okay, so the Guyton, and that's something I wanted to ask you about.
Does that Missouri wide receiver fall into that?
Oh, Luther Bird?
BPA.
Oh, BPA all the way.
BPA,
Yeah, I'm with you on BPA.
But I can't have Mozzie Smith and Tyler Guyton figuring it out. Guyton
there
got
you
pulled.
go.
For Awesome Richards, yes.
Richards, I'm interested to watch the tape.
I wonder if Richards could be your starting left tackle next year.
Well, he should at least be your swing tackle.
Yeah.
Now, then there's all kinds of things to consider. What if the tackle is the best player in the draft?
Yeah.
What if they move? I don't think they will. What if they move Guyton to right tackle and kick Tyler Smith? There's all kinds of. None of those things are necessarily the best answer.
Yeah.
But they're all possibilities.
Yeah.
But what I know is, especially if I'm picking, where am I going to pick?
12.
Right now, 12.
You know what? Plug and play. I can't have any of this.
Go, Miz.
Mozzie's getting ready.
You need a difference maker.
I can't have Tyler Guyton. Well, he just hasn't played much over there.
Oh.
I need a guy who's going to play, and I need it in the second round. And I want the running back from Arizona State in the third round.
Yeah, that guy's fun. If indeed,
You got this damn thing figured out.
I've just been thinking ahead.
We'll have Brad out there. Brad can make the picks. If indeed,
I like what he's doing.
If indeed they're looking for a new coach, and
head coach,
a new head coach,
yeah,
and you've been through a laundry list of head coaches here during your time. Do you think there is anything to what Marcus Spears and other Cowboys have said where there are head coaches that might not want this job because they can't have full autonomy because of Jerry Jones?
This is such a layered question.
Yeah.
I hope you're not in a hurry.
Not at all.
I love Marcus Spears. Love him.
LSU guy.
Know him. Love him.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard some of that rant the other day. And he just talking out of or familiarity. Familiarity is why he hired Switzer.
Mm-hmm.
Familiarity is certainly why he hired Jason, which was almost kind of like a different category because he knew him so well. But familiarity still falls under that category.
Right.
So those are the two things. The only time really that he didn't familiarity with Campo. Wade had head coaching experience. So, that's quite all right. Thank you for the beer bath to our guest over here.
The only man that can answer a question to get beer spilled all over his ankles the whole game.
Chan Gailey's the only guy that he hired with whom he was not familiar.
Yep.
And who did not have head coaching experience.
True.
So what we would do then is really a waste of time to talk about because the thing that would be interesting is, okay, survey the field.
Yeah.
Who does he either have some connection to somehow, or who's been a head coach somewhere, and preferably in the NFL. So Belichick's off the list.
Yeah.
Sounds like, I don't know if Vrabel's in play or not. I mean, who else are we talking about?
I'll say this, though. A head coach that does come in here should want to come here because you do have a say in personnel.
That's true.
Everyone I've ever worked with here has had a big say in personnel.
We've seen position coaches, we've seen coordinators.
McCarthy said himself a month ago, I've had
more than Green Bay, than Ted Thompson.
I've had more freedom and input here than I've ever had in my life.
True.
So he's going to get the players that he wants, certainly in the draft. Then you might get to free agency and be arguing over money and say, I want that guy and I can't afford that guy. And, he might walk in and say, I've got Lewis, Odigizua, Golston, Dowdle. I got to have two of those guys. I got to have Lewis. I got to have Dowdle. Can we do that?
Sure.
And then can we figure out a way? But those are the things. But, I mean, the history, Zach, tells us those are the things Jerry looks at for a head coaching candidate. And I'm not sure who – doesn't mean there's not a guy there, but I'm not sure who it would be at that point.
Brad, you're awesome, man. This is a treasure and a treat for me.
Oh, thanks.
I know,
Me too.
specifically after all these games.
He doesn't like Eric, but that's okay.
That's okay.
Well, it's just Eric is kind of.
I get it. I've worked with him for a long time. I love him dearly. He's a brother to me, but I get it.
He just has no respect for football.
He doesn't like football. Eric doesn't like football.
Barely has respect for himself. Any final thoughts before we let you out of here, Brad?
I think it'll be. Well, first of all, thank you to you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you to the people who have listened to the games and the pregame show and the postgame show. We're just talking to nobody without them.
Yeah.
Here's my hope, Zach. I had the worst feeling in terms of optimism coming into this year than I've had maybe since the Campo salary cap jails years.
Yeah.
Because they didn't address running back, they didn't address defensive tackle, they really rolled the dice with the offensive line, and Jerry has pretty much said as much. Yeah. He's admitted that. So what I'm hoping is that the things they do, I think he and McCarthy have both said this, and I think it has a grain of truth. The experience that some of those guys got this year is going to make them better prepared for next year.
They're not young guys anymore.
Right. Whether it's
they're players.
Beebe,
they're not young guys.
Beebe, whether it's Guyton, whether it's Flanoy, certainly Leofau.
Sure.
Okay. So they have major holes to fill because I don't think we know physically you're not going to be able to count on probably Diggs or Overshown.
Sure not.
So they got major holes to fill. What I would like is for the things that happen in personnel in the offseason to bring us into training camp with a sense that, okay, we got a fighting chance.
Sure.
And then go play football.
Go play football.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, boys.
We appreciate you.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. There he goes, the voice of your Cowboys,
Thank
the
you.
great Brad Sham, 23-19. Commanders over the Cowboys. We got a ton of audio to get to. We do have Jerry Jones. We've got Mike McCarthy post-game as well. We'll get some sound from the locker room. Jerry and Brad, of course, brought to you by the National Medal of Honor Museum. Join the mission at mohmuseum.org and AT&T, the official 5G innovation partner of the Dallas Cowboys. Post-game show rolls on. Zach Wolchuk alongside Bryan Broaddus from the Miller Lite Field Club. You're listening to the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
Hey, Cowboy fans, I'm Dak Prescott, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys.
Buffalo Wild Wings. Ford, your North Texas Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas. And by DallasCowboys.com. Keep track of the boys with daily podcasts and up-to-the-minute blogging at DallasCowboys.com and on the official Dallas Cowboys app.
It's first and goal at the 5, and he keeps it and runs around to the left, fakes everybody out, and dives in. Touchdown, Commanders.
That is one of the Commanders' scores, that one from earlier in the football game, as they go on a 91-yard drive, 6 seconds left, and Marcus Mariota hits Terry McLaurin for the game-winning score, 23-19. Cowboys 7-10 on this 2024 season, and the Commanders now have a date next week as the 6th seed in the NFC wild card, as they'll take on the Rams in L.A. next week. But a lot to get to here. Zach Wolchuk alongside the Super Bowl winning scout Bryan Broaddus, as we're live here at AT&T Stadium in the Miller Lite Field Club. We will get back to your calls and texts here in a moment, so please hang tight there. 877-881-1053. Appreciate your patience, but we've got to hear from Mike McCarthy. We also have to hear from Jerry Jones. Both speaking. We'll start with your head coach, Mike McCarthy, who took the podium for what could be the final time as head coach of the Cowboys.
Coach, you talked before the game about taking it all in. Certainly we saw you when you came into the locker room hugging all your assistant coaches. What's going through your mind right now about your future, your situation?
Well, really, it was going through my mind. It's the end of the year. I mean, this was our last game. So that's really what I was focused on. Just make sure I had an opportunity to see everybody when they came in the locker room.
Did Jerry say anything about the plan going forward at all?
No, we have meetings tomorrow in the morning with the players, but we'll get together here in the near future.
Tim Kalishaw, Dallas Morning News. Do you feel like your body of work after 5 years suggests you should be back for another year?
Oh, I've a lot of confidence in myself as a head coach, but I think like anything, body of work, the statistics. I think it's more about the program, the details of what needs to be done. How can we get better? All those things go into these decisions of whether you originally get the job or continue to move forward. So I'm definitely in a position with Jerry to move the program forward. I mean, there's no question about that in my mind. So that's why these conversations need to happen here in the near future.
Do you feel good about the way the team played the last half of the year, including like today when you're going to win with 2 seconds to go?
Yeah, I don't want to take anything for granted because I understand why you're asking a question, but I mean that's the way we're supposed to play. As far as the energy and the commitment. So and that's what the players expect from the coaches, and that's what coaches expect from the players. So for us to go out there and compete and finish our commitment, that's to me was a given. I felt in some ways that game was a little bit of a microcosm of our season. Just it goes all the way down to the last play. So, a lot of good things happen in the game, for young players, but the little things that we didn't do, was part of the reason why we didn't win the game. So, but I was happy with the fact that some of the guys were able to play that really didn't have much of an opportunity. So, but I was pleased with the way the team competed today.
Mac Engel, Fort Worth Star-Telegram. Now that the season's over, this answer may be different. Is your first preference, Mike, to remain as the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, I have a lot invested here. And the Cowboys have a lot invested in me. And then there's a personal side to all these decisions. So, they all point in the right direction. But I think anytime you invest, your time, energy, your belief, the connection you have, the relationships that are in place here, the understanding of what the organization can do and is willing to do, that those are all positive attributes that, you take into account. But, absolutely. I'm a builder. I believe in building programs. I believe in developing young players. So at the end of the day, it is about winning. And you have to have those components in place to get this thing where it needs to be, and I think we have a very good foundation there.
Elwin Henderson-Gilmere. Mike, your thoughts on Trey Lance? He had a great game today.
Yeah, I thought Trey played well today. I think just like anything is, you try to give them some opportunities. They did a good job right away. I think Clarence leaked it that he was playing because they really came after our edges. But no, they were really outfield, so we stayed away from some things that we were hoping to get, but then got to them in the second half. So, but I like his patience, But I think anytime, you go from one quarterback to another. You saw it in when Cooper played his first game against Philadelphia here. The cadence was we had some false some pre-snap penalties that we just weren't clean, and it's a shame because. We put together a lot of long drives, and as we know, we kicked field goals and they scored touchdowns when they were down there, and that's was really what it came down to. But I thought he did a lot of really good things. I think he clearly showed, the progress he's made since the last preseason game. So I was very proud of Trey today.
There's Mike McCarthy after this season finale loss, 23-19 to Washington. I know he apparently was hugging assistant coaches, which some of the beat writers saying they hadn't seen that before. He obviously stating he wants to be here. We'll see moving on if that ends up being the case. The other side of this, and we do have some news regarding a coaching firing that we'll get to in a moment. It's not with the Cowboys. It's with an AFC team. But here was the owner and general manager who will make that decision, Jerry Jones.
Not long here, just visiting with the team for my visit with the team. That can happen here in the dressing room after the game, or it can be tomorrow. And so I made it tonight and visited about going forward, visited about looking forward, sharing disappointment, but sharing the fact that in a big way they'll never forget the guys that they're lined up with in that room, the down times and the good times. And that needs to be brought up right now because we're not happy with the outcome of this ball game. I thought we really played with a lot of the kind of energy that you play if you were going to the playoffs. So this game really, energy-wise, tribute-wise, coast-wise, play-wise, was a real tribute to our team and gives me a lot of encouragement going forward.
Jerry, what was your message to Mike McCarthy and what does he mean to you? Well,
I spoke to the whole team, and Mike was in the room with all the coaches and the whole team. And of course, Mike's one of the best coaches that I think there is. He was made the coach here because I thought that, and he's done absolutely nothing to diminish my opinion of him as a coach. And I am really impressed with the way the players identified, look, are with him. They're inside with him, and that's important. That's important because he's had some times when each one of those players individually, as well as a team, have not been fun times. And so he's been there in his way for them on an individual basis. He's been there in his way for them on a team basis. And at the end of the day, you know that these are people. All I've got to do is see Bill Bates out here today, and years flash through my mind about days with Bill, a glass of tea or anything like that. There's lots of things that go into being together on trying to win games and win a championship.
As coaches and their families try to make plans for the future, when do you anticipate making some decision about those futures?
I'll follow this kind of the time frame that I've done in the past. That'll be it. So
about a week?
The way that it's evolved in the past will be a time frame, and I can tell you the past is not necessarily consistent in terms of a time frame.
When you said Friday that the hay is in the barn about McCarthy and the coaches, does that mean, have you made up your mind on Mike McCarthy?
No. Well, the point is that all that I'm going to look at, that I was answering that question, and that was, does the outcome of this game really impact his future? And I said no. All of the things I'll consider hay's in the barn.
Okay, there's your owner and general manager, Jerry Jones.
You know what he needed to say? Mm-hmm. Looking forward to rolling up my sleeves, sitting down talking with Mike McCarthy and hammering out a contract extension. If that's what, if you
want to talk glowingly about the job,
if you want to talk about how he's, what the team has done and everything that going forward about this, if he feels comfortable, if Steven and Will and Charlotte and Jerry Jr. and everybody feels comfortable, the management team feels comfortable, then, he needs to say, I'm rolling up my sleeves. I'm going to meet with Don Yee. We're going to hammer this thing out. I'm looking forward to having Mike McCarthy back as my head coach. Do you get the feeling that he is disappointed in the job that Mike McCarthy's done?
No, it doesn't sound that way.
Am I reading this thing wrong?
No, it doesn't sound that way. But I also do think Jerry, and this is part of the brilliance of him, loves the unknown, loves the questioning, loves to keep people hanging on the edge of their seat. And that's why I love Jane's question. How long is this going to take? There's a lot of people.
Oh, it's going to take a long time.
Because if it goes back to just the most recent time, it's going to take weeks. Jason Garrett, it took weeks of him and you said pencil by pencil.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. And Jane's right. There's a lot of different branches on this tree. If you do move on, there is a whole set of coaches now that have to uproot their families and have to figure out what their next job is, what their next step is. Yeah. It's unfair to them to drag that out. So I love Jane getting in there with that question because I know there's a human side to this.
It was hard on the Garrett coaches and their families and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's why Jane's bringing that all up. And let's not act like that Jane doesn't have connections with a lot of people around here. But, listening to Jerry Jones talk, if you feel this way about Mike McCarthy, my gosh, just say it. Hey, rolling up my sleeves. We're going to sit there and we're going to talk and we're going to hammer this thing out. Looking forward to having Mike McCarthy back. If Hayes in the barn and all that, well, then just do it. Don't. This doesn't need to be a long drawn out prospect or prospect that
process.
way.
Yeah,
process. Excuse me. Yeah,
I feel as though it might be. It seems like it could be a long drawn out process.
Well, they're going to
probably keep the Cowboys in the news cycle, and they'll be talking about what if, because they're not in the playoffs. So why else would you talk about the Cowboys?
No. Well, yeah, but to me, that if that is your sole reason, just to keep your team in the news. Nah, shame on you, sir.
Well, it's felt like that for the.
Shame on you, sir. If that's the case.
One of my grandfathers, may rest in peace, favorite Cowboys of all time. He was the legend today. But again, you're going back. This is 29 years without making an NFC Championship game.
I hear you. Every
reiterated,
week. Yeah,
he's going to be the GM, and nothing's going to change there. He's going to keep doing things his way, and part of that is, I want to be able to make sure my team is being discussed. That's why you're worth $10 billion.
His team will always be discussed. His team will be discussed if he were to come out and say, hey, listen, I'm looking forward to having Mike McCarthy back. We're going to sit down and we're going to fix this thing and we're going to make it go forward. We're going to work on the draft. We're going to work on free agency.
Yeah.
We're going to work on the media, the things that you talked about, the 30-plus years of not doing anything. Instead, you're going to let this thing drag? No. If you and your family feels good about Mike McCarthy, come out and say that. If not, move on from the guy.
Yeah, if not, move on. The Patriots today.
You might lose Mike Vrabel there.
Ago, they just said bye-bye to Gerard Mayo after 1 year.
Yeah.
They won the game today. They fell from.
Do you think they got rid of him for winning that game?
Possibly. There were
they
reports,
had the number one overall pick.
Yeah, there were reports previously that they were already looking at maybe moving on.
Okay,
but it could be a reactionary knee-jerk move from Bob Kraft, where he was kind of like, do I want to do it? And then boom, you win the game, and now you fall from number 1 to number 4, and you say, well, all right, this is it. We're done. We're moving on.
Yeah,
and that could exactly be where Vrabel goes. Now, maybe Vrabel says, hey, you could have had me last year, and you didn't want me.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to go and take on one of my other opportunities. But that would make a lot of sense for Vrabel to go back to his old stomping grounds there in New England.
I just don't know why sorry, Zach. You're going to tell me keep the team in the news. That is not a problem.
That is
not a problem.
That's the only thing I can fall back on.
I know,
you're right.
I know.
Why else
and I'm
wait?
yelling at you about it, but it drives me nuts. It drives me nuts. If you feel this good about Mike McCarthy, get in there and get this thing done then.
Hey, you said 3 weeks ago, if you want to talk glowingly about him, if you don't think there's a problem, if you think he's a good coach, then get this thing done. Go ahead and announce an extension. And maybe they will. Maybe they will end up retaining Mike McCarthy. But I wonder how long this is going to take. The contract's up on the 14th.
Much too long.
Another layer of this was, in a quote from Jerry, saying, hey, if he wants to talk to other people, let him. He doesn't want anybody to be here that doesn't want to be here.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's a team like New Orleans or name the other team
Do you think
that's
they
available,
asked for permission? You think New Orleans asked permission to talk to him?
They'd have to before the 14th, and
so
I guess
if
with that
that's
answer,
the case,
they'd allow him to.
Absolutely. If New Orleans requests position interview and he says yes, then he's immediately fired.
Yeah.
That's
because that's an indication you don't want to be here.
Right.
But then again, Jerry did say Hay's in the barn, and he had to,
See, I don't know
clarify
what
that.
hay in the barn. I mean, I don't know what that.
Yeah, he had to clarify it like it was this game, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think that. I think the question was like, have you made a decision?
That's what. I don't think it was this game.
No,
I thought it was
this. Yes,
this. I think it's. Have you made a decision?
It's a creative way of spinning it a little bit there. Always keeps you wondering.
Drive me nuts.
It is. It is absolutely. I think a lot of fans in the text line, like they're sick of the BS. I mean, you can't BS a BSer. And I think we've heard enough of this.
They have not said one negative thing about it. And usually it's like, hey, we've got some games to play. Let's see how it goes. We'll talk about it at the end of the season. No, it's like, hey, I have a lot of respect for Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy does this, and good for Mike McCarthy.
Mike's a good coach.
I wish my employees would talk. Our employees would talk about me like that.
We talk about you like that, Brian.
Not all the time.
Just not to your face.
Yeah.
As the casino of the Dallas Cowboys, WinStar delivers thrills worthy of America's team with over 10,000 of your favorite electronic games, a two-story WinStar Spawn Cascades, our luxury pool complex. WinStar is a world of wow. Please game responsibly. Okay, we'll get back to your calls and texts after we got to hear from Mike and Jerry. Thank you to Brad as well. A lot more to parse through here. Dallas Cowboys football will continue in a moment.
From retirement planning to insurance, SWB.
United Ag and Turf, the official Ag and Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit unitedagandturf.com to find a location near you.
And Mariota with a play fake. Half roll to the right, throws it out to Ertz. Touchdown, Commanders.
23-19, Commanders get the victory in what is the 2024 season finale here at AT&T Stadium. Zach Wolchuk alongside the Super Bowl winning scout Bryan Broaddus as we continue the postgame show here at the Miller Lite Field Club. As, yes, indeed, Washington getting the go-ahead touchdown with just a couple seconds to go. Terry McLaurin from Marcus Mariota. We heard from Jerry and Mike McCarthy. Let's get back and hear from you as today's game between the Commanders and the Dallas Cowboys AT&T Stadium was brought to you by Albertsons and Tom Thumb, the official supermarket and pharmacy of the Dallas Cowboys. And back to the calls, as I know a lot of you have been waiting very, very patiently. Curious what you have to say after you were able to hear from the head coach and the GM. Let's go out to Arkansas in Arlington. We've got Arkansas in Arlington. What's going on, man?
What's up, guys? How y'all doing today?
Good.
Well, first of all, let me say thank you guys for the wonderful year, for taking our calls as fans. I just want to make a comment. If the Cowboys decide to bring back McCarthy, I truly believe that we as fans need to just protest and just not go to the stadium and give Jerry Jones this money. That's what he's all about. He's not about winning. He's all about money. And I will hang up and listen and see what you have to say about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Man, Brian, you've worked for the man.
14 years.
I can definitely get the justification because I fought against it as a fan for a long time.
Sure.
That it is about winning. It's not just about money.
Mm-hmm.
But without, any serious changes, especially at the top, which he has reiterated there will never be, it's hard to say that it is totally about winning.
He's made a lot of owners money.
He has.
Every one of those owners are billionaires.
There's never doubting how good of an owner and businessman he is. He's one of the best owners in the history of sports.
Outstanding at that. I know the times that I worked there, I always felt like that he was trying to win. I felt like that he was trying to do everything in his power. We made some horse-esque decisions, and Jerry is really, really reliant on people giving him advice. Jerry can make a call, but people giving him advice. And so all these years I felt like, we blamed Jerry for stuff. You should blame the Bryan Broadduses of the world and people like that work for him, that have kind of, done these things like, okay, well, hey, keep Mike McCarthy. Hey, fire Jason Garrett. Hey, do this. Hey, do that, Jerry's got a lot of bad advice along the way. Has Jerry made some bad decisions? Sure, absolutely. I would have never given 2 first-round picks for Joey Galloway, But Jerry was trying to think of ways to, keep Troy Aikman going,
I don't have Michael Irvin. He was trying a wide receiver.
He's trying to win, and we made some terrible decisions. But I think a lot of it has to do with people that have been in his ear over the years, and I think Jerry, I think he does want to win. I just think a lot of ways we've let him down a lot of the ways too, and it's not going to change because he's going to continue to listen to people. He's going to, he's going to listen to, back in the day, Tom Siskowski. He's going to listen to Jeff Ireland. He's going to listen to Larry Lacewell. He's going to listen to Barry Switzer. He's going to listen to Michael Irvin. He's going to listen to Troy Aikman. He's probably thinking, well, yeah, I can do all this with these guys' help along the way. I think in a lot of ways, I feel sorry for him because he's gotten a lot of bad advice, and I don't think it's, to me, it's, we talk about, hey, well, boycott this, boycott that. Yeah, you can do what you want as a fan, but we blame him. We didn't help him. And maybe that part needs to change. Maybe it's not Jerry Jones, the general manager, that needs to change. Maybe it's all the people who give him advice that hasn't worked out over the years. I think that, to me, when I look at Jerry Jones, I kind of think of, man, this guy tries to do the right thing, but he's got some clown like me, making a suggestion to him about a player or two.
I guess that would be the question then. Has he changed?
He won't change. He won't.
Him?
Yeah, it won't change because the people.
If that hasn't worked out,
that's where I think things need to change. And I'm not saying fire Will McClay and fire Chris Hall and fire, there's got to be a different way of doing this.
Yes,
there's got to be a different way of, like, when you're listening to people and they're telling you, hey, Jerry, Al Davis is the one that told him he didn't need you could be the general manager.
Yeah.
But Jerry really relies on people like me telling him what to do.
Well, and the story that you've told us about DeMarco Murray.
Yeah.
How, the scout, everyone had the legwork done on DeMarco Murray.
There's guys that did legwork on, you're absolutely right.
Jerry says, well, I talked to Barry Switzer, and this is what he had to tell me.
Yeah, Jerry's standing at the podium at the post-draft, and he's like going, you know what, that Barry Switzer told me all about DeMarco Murray. Mm-hmm. And then the scouts are sitting there like, damn, why did I go to Norman, Oklahoma? Why did I do this? Why did I do that? Why did I stay up trying to write a really good report and all that? I think the biggest problem with Jerry Jones is the people that talk to him. And I think that that's one of the reasons why you see them operate the way that they do.
And it's true. Jerry said it today on right here in the pregame show. Yeah. I use a lot of input from key people that are associated with the team, players. I use former coaches. I use input from really interested fans. I get it all. So he's listening to a lot, and I guess ultimately he will be the final decision maker. But
see, boycotting him, yes, does he make money? Absolutely. Fascinating businessman. I wish everybody had the opportunity to go have dinner with him because it's so much fun to listen to his stories.
Yeah.
But also, though, I know that, like, we give him bad advice along the way. Like, he's trying to maybe do the right thing, but then somebody says, well, Jerry, I don't know about doing that. Mm-hmm. Or, oh, Jerry, do that. Do that, Jerry. And that's why I think it takes a long time for them to make decisions on things.
Well, you say because you got too many cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, maybe he's listening to too many people. Maybe that is, you're right. I mean, I think all of that is excellent points. But again, that falls.
I don't know if that's excellent points. I'm just telling you why.
It is. It's good insight, right? The people don't necessarily know.
If a fan, I don't know if I'd boycott the team.
Well, as a fan, you do whatever you believe.
Do whatever you want. I'm just telling you the problems.
As a diehard fan. I'll never be able to boycott the team.
Yeah.
And honestly, you shouldn't have to, right? But I do think even with that being said, and all that should be taken into account, and you could be 100% right, it's still on him ultimately then to make
he
the
makes
changes
the
of those
decision.
voices.
Yeah, he makes the decision, and people lose their mind over that.
Yeah.
But also, though, there's so much revolving around Jerry Jones that like, he's going to ask your opinion. When Jim Garrett tells the room, that this quarterback is the next, Troy Aikman, we're all looking at each other like, Jim, don't do that. And what did Jerry's eyes immediately, Jim, go. What are you telling me about
this
here?
Tyler Guyton, Flozell Adams.
Yeah.
This Ashton Genty, Emmitt Smith over here.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Drew Henson.
Yeah.
Jim Garrett is sitting there in a room and he goes, this is the next Troy Aikman. And Jerry's head just snaps up. And they're like, and me and Sean Payton are looking at each other like, we're effed. We're so effed right now. But see, that's the kind of thing that I think Jerry Jones, if Jerry Jones could replace one thing, it's probably the number, if I had the wish, would be the number of people that have access to give him opinions. I think he can make a decision. I think, though, that some of the guys and gals along the way haven't necessarily helped him very much.
Well, the roster's certainly not good enough, and he did take responsibility, but they've got to figure out something to improve this team, as we were talking about Brad with. I mean, the roster was not one, and we all saw it coming into the season. They had a bunch of holes, and you paid big money to the receiver, and you paid big money to the quarterback. And at the end of the season, unfortunately, they weren't available for you. But they've got to get a way, and 214 Wolchuk fans are tired here getting hustled. I'm a season ticket holder. And I sold my tickets for a profit.
But you're not getting hustled. You're not. You feel. I mean, I'm sorry they feel like they're getting hustled, but I don't know. What are you getting hustled on?
I mean, you're kind of just getting. You're putting money and hope and faith and time and effort into
Man,
basically what
Browns,
seems like
bro.
a broken record. But you're kind of in that conversation now, man. You are. Sadly, it's
Well,
you and it's Washington.
Are you in the conversation because you haven't been to the championship game in a while?
Not even a conference championship game. Yeah, I mean, like at some point we've.
I understand that, but
it
man,
stinks. It hurts. You've got.
There are some teams that really suck out there.
But if
their
we're-
front offices suck.
No doubt. But if I'm talking to a 30-year-old
Jets?
fan right now, what's the difference between what you've seen for 30 years? Now, maybe you've seen some more playoff appearances, but I don't know that you've seen what. 3 more playoff wins than what Brown fans have?
Oh no,
that's the sad
can't
reality we're
fight
living
you.
in right now, Brian.
You're talking to a guy that for 20 some odd years before the Joneses even bought this team, I saw really great football, and that's why I fight for guys like Calvin Hill, and I fight for guys like Harvey
They
Martin.
created the standard.
And I fight for those guys like that because I know how important those guys were to me. So yeah, I don't know if you feel like you're hustled, but man, there are some bad football teams out there.
There are.
There's some fans that are fans of some bad football
I mean, imagine
teams.
being a Jets fan. I get it. But gosh,
1969.
That's
Joe
also,
Namath. That's the last time you even. Well, but you've been to some championship games, and what 98? Mark Sanchez, our buddy, a couple of them. You know. But man, that's I don't know. Like I say, there are far worse football teams out there. But I'm not going to tell a fan how to be a fan.
No,
I'm not going to do that.
And I get
If you
it.
feel like you're getting hustled, man, I'm sorry. I really am.
877-881-1053. More of your calls and texts as we continue to put a bow on the 2024 Dallas Cowboys season. We'll hear from more locker room audio as well. You're listening to the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
Cowboys football and Miller Lite. What a pairing. Can cracks at kickoff. Tailgates going way past postgame. Sunday night overtimes followed by Monday morning swagger. Brisket in the smoker. Miller Lite in the cooler. America's team playing America's greatest sport. Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys football tastes like Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. 2023 Miller Brewing Company, Fort Worth, Texas.
The Cowboys are back. It's game time. And now you can get in the game with a new Dallas Cowboys scratch ticket from the Texas Lottery. Play for a shot at $100K. And enter for a chance to win wild Cowboys prizes like season tickets, VIP suite experiences, and draft day war room experiences. Make every day game day with Dallas Cowboys scratch tickets. Must be 18 or older to play responsibly.
The big game is over, but there's more to come. More chances to enjoy your favorite stars on and off the field. And plate with Tyson's star-shaped Cowboys Nuggets. Game day is always a treat. Go and grab some Tyson Cowboys Nuggets and bring the game home with you, along with all your favorite Tyson Foods products. Score some delicious Tyson Cowboys Nuggets and become a game day star, just like our Cowboys. As you enjoy your stars on and off the plate, remember, tailgates and game day have always been Tyson.
People will always come and go in our lives, but we all know those few who never left, the ones who make you strong.
jackpot.com. The Powerball jackpot continues to grow. Buy your Powerball tickets now on jackpot.com. And by Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys.
Snap to Lance, inside handoff. Dowdle pushing, touchdown! Say hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Rico Dowdle, a rushing touchdown.
That's an outstanding call right there from Brad and Babe. That is indeed our drive of the game. Brought to you by Blockchain. Trust the team at Blockchain.com to make buying, selling, and trading crypto easy. Play smarter, not harder with Blockchain.com. An 8-play, 70-yard drive that took 4:16 off the clock. Third and goal at the Washington 2. Rico Dowdle punching it in for his lone score of the day. Unfortunately, the Cowboys would fall 23-19 on a final drive by Washington that went 91 yards in 11 plays to get the go-ahead score with 3 seconds left on the clock. The Cowboys go 7-10 in the 2024 season. They fall to 2-7 at home, their second worst home record since 1989 when they went winless at Texas Stadium.
That was bad.
Zach Wolchuk alongside your Super Bowl winning scout Bryan Broaddus here at the Miller Lite Field Club, the official postgame show of your Dallas Cowboys. Back to the phones here in just a moment, but here is Trey Lance, who got the start at quarterback for the first time in a Cowboys uniform.
Trey, could you talk about your game today?
Oh, yeah. I mean, disappointed, obviously, anytime. I didn't feel like I capitalized to the best of my ability on the opportunities in the red zone. So anytime, you don't score enough points to win. When our defense plays as well as they did, just disappointing. But at the same time, unbelievably thankful for the opportunity. Thankful for all my teammates and coaches, everyone in this organization that's done everything for me in these last 2 years. It's been a ton of fun, learned a ton. Just excited for these guys. Super proud of these guys, and anytime you're playing in a situation like that where it's the last one and everyone knows it, I'm just unbelievably thankful for these guys and what they put into it, this week and every week.
When did you find out you would start, and how were you able to prepare for that, or were you always prepared just in case?
Yeah, I think, as a backup quarterback life, you prepare the way like you're going to play. I found out pretty early in the week, but yeah, obviously was excited for the opportunity.
Can you talk about what you felt the first half? Were you nervous at all, or were you out about business? And I know there's some throws you probably want to take back, but you also made some plays with your legs and with your arm.
Yeah, I think the nerves settled pretty quick. I felt prepared for this opportunity, and like I said, man, just disappointed we didn't make the most of it. Disappointed I didn't make the most of my opportunities in the red zone specifically. But yeah, obviously was excited for that opportunity.
Understanding what you're saying about the red zone, maybe not going the way that you wanted to, do you feel like in totality the performance you put on the field was a better representation of who you can be in this league?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, anytime I get the opportunity to play against another team's starters, it's something I want to do, and obviously put good stuff on tape. I'm excited to go home and watch it tonight and learn a lot from it. Some good things, some bad things, but a ton to learn for sure.
Trey Lance, 20 of 34, 244 yards. Did get sacked a couple of times. 81 quarterback rating. Ran for 26 yards as well in this one. Missed certainly a couple of chances to get some touchdown passes there. One to Jake Ferguson that was really close in the back of the end zone. The Rico Dowdle miss just shorted it a little bit. Brandon Cooks, we've talked about, probably should have gone to that back pylon. Instead he goes to the front side pylon. But look, we've been wanting to maybe see some Trey Lance here the entire second half of the season since Dak went down. Cooper Rush had some really, really good moments, but got to see some Trey Lance today, and overall, what'd you think?
You know what I saw from Trey Lance? You're right about some of the accuracy with him. He could be a little up, a little down. He could hit 2-3 really good throws in a row. He could scramble, and then there's 2 or 3 throws you're like, gosh, he needs those back. I think it's with him, it's about playing. And this is where, and I think I said this to you, I might have said it, to Fred Davis next door when sitting next to me in the booth. I said, I wish I would have seen this guy play all year.
You
once
did,
Dak got hurt.
We should have been playing because he just provided. He was able to do more offensively.
Yeah, I felt like that even maybe some of the things that they were doing down in the red zone, maybe they would have developed a little bit more of the RPO stuff. Maybe there would have been a little bit more quarterback draw. Maybe there would have been a little bit, some different things. I would have liked to have seen him play when Dak went down. and I know they're thinking about, okay, we're trying to stay in it. Cooper Rush gives us the best opportunity to win. But, man, the offense looked a little bit different today moving the ball. It looked a little bit, and I
saw
Cooper Rush is, Cooper Rush has had some good games. He's had some good games. Don't get me wrong. The Philadelphia games were not great for him, but he had some good games. But I would just have really, I'd love to have been able to evaluate Trey Lance for the 6 or 7 games at the end of the year, and then say, okay, this is what Trey Lance is. And, I think going forward, this is what we can do, or, because, they'll tell you, well, maybe he wasn't ready and all that, but I think he acquitted himself very well today playing against a team that had to go out and try and win a football game. And I think he played well. The red zone stuff is going to,
that's definitely probably area number one. But
hell, they haven't been good at it all year. Cooper Rush hadn't been good at it. They have not been good at it all year. So that's a fundamental scheme problem that they have. But, man, it'd have been great to see him play. Would have been great to see him play all year.
It was important. I mean,
since Dak went down.
When you look at just like pass attempts, and Jane, our friend Jane Slater had this nugget pregame. When you talk about 427 pass attempts that Trey Lance has had, college and the NFL, coming into this game, 427. You compare that to like Jaden Daniels, just under 2,000, Bo Nix, just under 2,500, because Trey Lance played 1 year of college football.
Yeah.
He played a game the COVID season, and then North Dakota State didn't play again.
Mm-hmm.
And then you know what happened to him in his story in San Francisco, and this was his first start with the Cowboys. Raw was the word that Jane said came around a lot when she was asking about Trey Lance, and it's true. The playing time is very, very important. And moving forward, now we'll see. He's going to hit the open market. So is Cooper Rush. Do both. Do one come back as your backup quarterback. That will be a conversation this offseason as well. All right, let's go ahead and pause 10 seconds to allow stations to identify themselves across the Dallas Cowboys radio network.
Your turn it on, leave it on. Home of America's team is 105.3 The Fan.
Hello, baby.
KRLD-FM and HD1, Dallas-Fort Worth.
An Odyssey sports station.
Thank you to the three-time Hall of Famer Chris Arnold for that audio as well. Okay, let's get back to the phones. Your calls and texts. Zach Wolchuk alongside the Super Bowl winning scout Bryan Broaddus, 23-19. Commanders beat the Cowboys in the season finale of 2024. Let's go out to California. We got Randy joining the show. Randy, what's going on?
Hey, thank you, guys. Hey, first thing I want to say is thank you guys for everything you guys done this whole season. I just got 2 points to make. The first one, you guys were just talking about Trey Lance. Like that first opening drive, the scripted plays, it was pretty dead on. I love how he plays underneath the center and those bootlegs. I think so with his game performance this game, do you think some quarterback needy team could outbid Dallas in free agency to try to take him from us?
Here we go. People were killing me for my opinion, and I'll let you talk real quick here. But people were killing me because I felt like that Dallas wasn't playing him to maybe keep him on the cheap.
They were hiding him.
Yeah, they were hiding him. That's what I was thinking. So go ahead with your point. Go ahead.
Yeah, so that's just my point. And then my second point is history has shown that when the Cowboys have a down season, they usually bounce back, and especially in the NFC East where there's never been really consecutive NFC champion or NFC East champion. Where Dallas is picking right now, if they were to give up that first-round pick and next year's first-round pick to move up, because there's some teams there that they're probably not going to be able to get those 2 top QB prospects that might be wanting to try to get someone like Manning in next year's draft. Would you be willing to trade up, or would you guys know Jerry Jones probably better than I do? Would he be willing to trade up?
And can I ask you a quick question? You're wanting to go up in this draft, or you wanting to trade back? What do you want to do?
Up, just for one particular player.
Okay, who are you going for?
If he's there at 6 or 7, it's Abdul Carter. He's the only one.
Okay.
If not, I'll take an offensive lineman.
Yeah,
and that's
Carter would be the one player I'd want to move up for.
That offensive lineman situation, man. Banks from Texas, we talked.
Sure.
Man, these offensive tackles are not as clean of a prospects as what we've seen the last couple of years.
Last year was a special.
I mean, you could find these tackles were like, boom, that's a tackle. Yeah. That's a tackle. These tackles have more questions about them. Are they really guards than they are tackles? I really like Banks potentially as a guard. He's from Texas. You'll see him play Friday night here at AT&T against Ohio State, who's got some really good defensive linemen.
Yeah, Sawyer, JTT.
Exactly. So you'll get a really good view of those guys, but I don't know if I'm trading up for Carter. I think Carter's probably the best edge.
I do.
From Penn State. He's the best edge in the draft. But man, I don't know if I'm giving up a 1 potentially to go. Well, we're going to have to go 6 spots. I don't know if it'll cost me a 1, but man, I think you're going to need to make, maybe that's a 2, 3. I think you're going to a team that likes to draft players the way that Dallas does. I think they're going to need all their picks.
Yeah.
You've already parted ways with your 4 that's going to start day 3, and you're going to hear me screaming about that when that thing comes out, right, Zach?
Right. Yeah, I mean, we saw it this year. Bucky Irving just had the NFC South clinching touchdown for the Bucs today. He was taking the pick after the Cowboys would have been on the clock in the 4th round, but they moved that for Trey Lance. Yeah. So the what-if game will be played. I don't think I would move up in this year's class, and especially for a team that that's how they build through the draft. It's a massive sacrifice to mortgage a first-round pick in the future. If anything, and I brought this up on the postgame show a little while ago, but you're going to pay the players, so that's another conversation. But do you move this year's one if you're not loving what's on the board and try and get a proven vet like a Garrett Wilson from the Jets who might want out, or name that guy? That might be more interesting to me, just to trade your first for an NFL current player than to move up and next year's one to go get a guy. But Carter would be on the short, like Carter, McMillan from Arizona. Those would be the players that I do think I've got high enough on my stack to where I'd consider it. But no, I don't think they would. And I don't think the Arch Manning thing would be, unless something drastically happens that's terrible next year with Dak. They've committed to Dak Prescott. I don't think you're making a change at quarterback.
No, they're not. You're right about that.
All right, let's try and get one more call in before we go to break, and we'll get back to the phones. Don't you worry. Let's go to Ron in Cedar Hill. Ron, you're on the official postgame show of the Dallas Cowboys.
Hey, thanks for taking my call, guys. Just a couple of quick points, and then I want to end with a follow-up question. Based on Jerry's interview, I hope that he was creating a subterfuge to distract us from the fact that everyone can see that today's game solidified the fact that Mike McCarthy should not be brought back as head coach of this franchise. In his interview, he even said this game was a microcosm of the season. Yeah, it was, but that's on you, Mike McCarthy. Barring the injuries and all of those things throughout the season, he still had an opportunity to continue to earn a new contract and continue to build his legacy. But time after time, he's shown the ineptitude to have bad decision-making, bad late-game management adjustments, as well as put his team in challenging and peculiar situations. Case in point, like you guys mentioned, the 4th and 1, like you have nothing to lose, go for it. The red zone deficiencies, like I mentioned before, and then the Cincinnati Bengals game. What I would like to see is we need a fresh new coach in, and I think Brad even said it. Jerry likes someone with familiarity and history. What about Kellen Moore? All I'm saying is, or the OC from the Lions, we need a coach in here that can connect to the players.
Yeah. You know what? I could see Kellen Moore getting, if they were to change coaches, I could see him getting an interview.
I mean, as Brad was talking about familiarity, people that you know, the guy that popped into my mind was Kellen Moore.
Kellen Moore, and if you want a dark horse candidate, Jason Witten.
Yeah.
If Jason Witten, and people will say he doesn't have NFL coaching experience or college coaching experience or anything like that.
Right,
and
that's what I would say.
And I know you would, but could Jason Witten put together a staff where he could be the guy that oversees the locker room, the players, the whole operation? He gives you that Dan Campbell-like toughness, but he's got Ben Johnson, he's got Aaron Glenn, and he's got Hank Fraley as a line coach. He's got all these coaches. Could Jason Witten put together a staff that would allow him to be that kind of coach? That's my point. I mean, you give me the leader of men, but you give me the staff. If I'm hiring you, Zach, and you're coming in as a head coach, and you tell me who your staff is, and I don't like your staff, you're not getting a job. Yeah. I'm not interested in the buddy system. I'm not interested in any of that. I'm not. Oh well, no. You go out and you hire smarter guys and gals than you got my attention.
Yeah, I'm with you. And if you don't know, then you're not prepared for the job.
Exactly.
And some of the stuff with Ben Johnson that we've heard is he wants to also have a hand in who the general manager is.
Jacksonville makes a lot of sense there.
Does.
They will blow Trey Baalke and Doug Peterson out of there in a heartbeat if they know. Now, they've gone through that with Urban Meyer.
They have.
They've gone through, and they've given Urban Meyer the keys to the car and let him be the guy, and that went south.
That one was a disaster.
And I don't know if Khan and them want to do that again. I don't know if they want to make one guy that, So, like I said, Ben Johnson, I know one thing. I worked with a guy in Green Bay named John Dorsey. Dorsey was the general manager in Kansas City, and him and Andy Reid had some really good drafts. He drafted Hill in the 6th round. He traded up. He convinced Andy and them to trade up for Patrick Mahomes. John's had some good drafts. John had some bad drafts too. He was in Cleveland. They had some drafts where, the Johnny Manziels and the people like that. But I'll tell you what, if Ben Johnson, he's probably thinking, okay, what can I put together for staff, and who could I have as my potential general manager that can help me pick players? That's what
he wants the alignment. He's trying to build a full-on institution.
He needs somebody that's got his back.
He does.
You need somebody that's got his back.
That you're aligned with, and that's not necessarily going to happen here.
Not here.
With the Cowboys. Okay, we will get player of the game. We'll get back more to your calls and texts. We'll hear from Micah Parsons. Dallas Cowboys football will continue in a moment.
Spicy food doesn't need to hurt or be scary. Just look at water.
Window Nation, proud partner of your Dallas Cowboys.
And Lance back with play action, standing and has great protection. And now will come over the middle to Tolbert at the 40, circling away around to the right inside the 30, flung down and around the 28 by San Risco.
Man, Jaylen Tolbert, that is our What a Play of the Game, brought to you by Reliant and NRG Company. Had a couple of big plays, and he set a new career high in receiving yards today. Finished with 4 catches, 98 yards to lead the team, including that long of 32 yards.
Man, had a good day.
He did, and he had a streak of touchdowns. Now, this is what I need you to do, Brian. I need you to call out everybody on this team. Everybody, coaches included.
Oh, I called him out big time.
The second you sold Jaylen Tolbert down the river, and I'll be honest, he still hasn't been good enough, and I agreed with you doing it at the time, and I still do.
No, I mean,
but he started playing better football. That's what the key. That's what we need. Like, Guyton, bust. Come on, dude.
Next thing you know, all pro next year.
What are you doing, Mozzie? Gosh, that guy, not an NFL player.
Mozzie made some plays today.
Mozzie saved a touchdown.
Did you see that the screen where he got outside? Yeah,
that thing was gone, and Mozzie's hauling ass over into the flat to make that tackle. I think Mozzie, and there's a lot of eye rolls, I'm sure, going on because people had quit on Mozzie.
Yeah.
He finished the season strong. Mozzie had a good end of the season.
Schoonmaker, guys like that, they played pretty well for you.
But if that's what it's going to take,
I was
quitting on them and then they start playing well, I'm on board.
I was very critical of Tolbert because I was thinking, you've got to be better than 1 catch a game. You've got to be better than that. And today, with Lamb being out, again, showing up. And I think that's something that, some guys that needed to have a good game going forward. We talked about that on 105.3 The Fan on our show. Who are the guys that need to play well to go into 2025? Mozzie Smith was mentioned. Guyton was mentioned. Tolbert was mentioned. These are guys that needed a positive thing to get them into the offseason to where they're kind of able to, go and work and try and make things better. I still feel like you need a number 2 wide receiver.
I do too. I don't think Tolbert is. He's got enough chances. I think he can be maybe a solid 3 for you, but you've got to improve in that receiver.
Well, I know one thing. I'm not going to get fooled this time. I've been fooled before.
Don't
I'm not
get
going to
fooled.
get fooled anymore.
Keep the expectations low.
Don't get fooled again.
End up enjoying the rewards if they overachieve. Here was Jaylen Tolbert with our 3-time Hall of Famer, Chris Arnold.
That was a crazy game at the end there, but you guys showed a whole lot of fight considering that you guys knew you were not going to the playoffs this year. Can you talk about the effort?
Yeah, we don't have quitters in this room. This locker room is full of resilient guys that work hard each and every day, no matter the outcome, and it shows each and every day. We come to practice, we come in with our work hats on, and we come out and put our best foot forward, and go out and play hard as we can for each other. And so I think that's what shows on the field.
You wondered if you guys had a chance to catch passes from Dak, Cooper, and now Trey. Can you talk about Trey's game? Because I think he probably surprised some people who didn't know what he could or could not do.
Yeah, no, for sure. You can tell, as the game went on, Trey's confidence grew, and, we let him know all week that we had his back. We were there for him, just as we were there for Coop and for Dak. And so, just going out and letting him know that, we all are with him, we have his back, I think continue to allow his confidence to grow, and you can see that as the game went on.
And how's that finger?
The finger, great.
Let's take a look. Oh, my. Okay. Hey, have a nice offseason, and we'll see you when we see you.
Appreciate you. Yes, sir.
Right.
Jaylen Tolbert, who I believe will be going into, would this be year 4 for JT?
Mm-hmm.
So this would be the final year for him before he hits the free agent market. All right, let's get back to the phones. Zach Wolchuk alongside the Super Bowl winning scout Bryan Broaddus as we're hanging out here in the Miller Lite Field Club after a 23-19 Washington win over your Cowboys.
Michael, who is following us on Twitter, and I'm sure he's listening right now, he says, Bryan Broaddus, Zach Wolchuk, why the desire for Banks and not a wide receiver early on?
Yeah. Basically, for me, it's line of scrimmage. If you can solidify the line of scrimmage, both offensively and defensively,
sure,
you're going to win football games.
Sure.
Football, it's not like we say this. It's not rocket science. Win in the trenches. It's going to make everything easier for you.
Yeah.
If my offensive line is – the Cowboys got that benefit in 14, and they had that for a few years.
Yeah.
And you're thinking like, holy hell, this is one of the best teams in football. Why? Because you knew and that travels. No matter where you're playing, no matter what time you're playing, we are going to dominate you with our offensive line. Mm-hmm. And if you can get that, you got a great shot. But I do love me some Emeka Egbuka. My draft gut is saying that is the perfect fit. That's a dude who is used to being the number 2 option because he's been playing with studs his entire career. Whether it was Jackson Smith and Jigba, whether it was now Jeremiah Smith, whether it was Marvin Harrison Jr., and he's capable of being a one himself, but he goes about his role, runs great routes, good after the catch, strong hands, smooth. He'd be a perfect fit next to CeeDee Lamb. Now, if you end up getting the 11th pick, is that rich for him? Maybe. But if you end up sliding down, you're at 12 right now, I don't know. But Emeka Egbuka definitely is a guy I wouldn't be upset about if the Cowboys were to take him.
I think you're going to get a really good player there at 11 or 12. I really do. I feel much better about 11 and 12 than I do picking like it, 16, 17, somewhere right around there.
It's a big difference right there. That 4-player drop-off really is.
Yep.
Okay, let's hit the phones again, 877-881-1053, the final postgame show of the 2024 NFL season. Let's get back to the top. We got Coach Davis calling in from Kingsville. Coach, what's going on?
I'm a DoorDash.
Coach.
Is that one open?
Coach is dropping off a DoorDash order right now, I think. Oh, gosh darn it. Coach, we'll put you back on hold. We'll get back to you, buddy. I know that this was just bad timing. Let's go out to Brock and Rockwall. Brock, how you doing? You're on the official postgame show of the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, hello. I think the game was lost today right before halftime when they had a third down at the 2-yard line. They threw an incomplete pass.
Sure.
Fourth down, Trey bounced it to the receiver instead of running the ball in to get points. I think that's what hurt them in this game today.
Yeah, the sequence right before the end of the half wasn't very good. I mean, Trey moving to his left just could not get enough on the ball to get it to Rico Dowdle. I mean, he did a nice job of avoiding problems, but yeah, the sequence of play, their red zone offense, you don't need a former scout telling you this, but I think all their trips were pretty shaky to begin with, and I told you one time, I go, just call your best 2-point play. And you looked at me and said, do they have a best 2-point play?
I don't know if they do.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't disagree with you there.
Yeah, it's been tough sledding the red zone all year long, no matter who the quarterback is. But I appreciate
that was a bad, coming
today was
you mentioned
really bad.
It right before the end of half and coming out of half. They came
away with 3 points.
3 points
and
in
in
2
a perfect
big
world,
drives.
that's 14 points right
Yeah,
there.
exactly.
And the game is very, very different.
Yep.
Let's go to Tom in Dallas. Tom, what's up?
Hey, I'm calling about Bryan Broaddus' point about half an hour ago. Brian, you said you feel sorry for Jerry Jones.
I do.
I can't believe, out of all the people in the organization that feel sorry for Jerry Jones, after 30 years of dictatorship and running things and running coaches off and being a one-man show, I guess he has people telling him advice, but at the end of the day, how do you feel sorry for him? I mean, I don't get that. That's ridiculous.
I feel sorry for him because we gave him bad advice. When he relies on us to give him advice on how to maybe manage his football team, maybe manage how the cap works, maybe manage a lot of different things, he relies on a lot of people. Like, people every day go to work, and their bosses rely on, their employees rely on their bosses to make decisions, but those bosses also rely on the employees to help them manage and do their jobs. I feel sorry for Jerry Jones that he hasn't always got great advice. That's where I feel sorry for Jerry Jones.
Over and over and over, you should fire those people then, if that's what he's
absolutely. I mean, and that's what I'm saying. And he did. He got rid of me. I mean, they moved on from me. So there's things. They got Will McClay in there. They got but still, there's things.
Buck stops at the top, Brian.
No, you know what? Decisions are made at the top, but you're only as good as the people you work with. So yes, I'm not gonna fight you on it, because I've lived that with him, and I know the situation there. I know.
All right, we'll get back to your phones. Appreciate you, Tom. 877-881-1053. We'll also give you a scoreboard update. What's going on in San Francisco? Kind of need the Niners to get a win, over Arizona. I guess this game is in Arizona, not San Francisco. Let me clarify there. I'll also tell you the rest of what the playoff picture's looking like. Does Cincinnati have a hope? Is Denver losing? That'd be a no, but we'll get to that and more. You're listening to the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big
the official energy provider of your Dallas Cowboys.
Reliant, PUCT number 10007.
All right, Washington left to right at its 30. And they're down by 3, and the snap to Mariota, play action. He's flushed out and falls down, and touchdown by Golston, who will get the Cowboys 5th sack of the day.
Cowboys finished with 6 total sacks, and Chauncey Golston there, maybe one of the easier sacks that he'll get, but he put himself in tremendous position with that rush. That was our defensive stop of the game. 3 and out. Right after the Cowboys got a touchdown from Rico Dowdle, Marcus Mariota, who they hadn't stopped all game, they come out, they get a ton of pressure,
Should've
3
won
and
the
out,
game there.
punt right back to the Cowboys, and they had an opportunity to kind of just run this one out.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we're not able to, and then we know about that 91-yard final drive, and we can also, criticize maybe the 4th and 1 decision. Should you have just run the ball? Should you have gone for it? Should you have tried a field goal?
I understand, and Brad Sham made a really good point about, you're gonna make him go 91 yards, to try and win this football game, and I can understand why you would think that, but also think about the fact that you could get, you get 1 yard, this game's potentially over. You're going to make them use their timeouts. You're going to keep running the ball, and then if you want to get in field goal range and kick that thing, or just keep trying to get first downs. But that he put it on his defense, and they'd been pretty good. For a half, if you think about it, they played really, really well against Jane Daniels. I don't think they played particularly well against Marcus Mariota.
No, Mariota was red hot to start.
I don't know. That to me, that's where all of a sudden I get into coaches knowing, and this is the dangerous thing, but coaches knowing the condition of your team. Marcus Mariota was on fire in that second half. He was going to make plays in that game, and I don't know. I would have said, listen, I'm not going to put my defense back out there in harm's way again. I'm going to try and get this first down. I'm going to try and kill as much of this clock as I can. And if I have to kick a field goal and then kick the ball back with no time, well, then that's what I'm going to do. But I didn't quite understand the taking the delay and then making the punt.
The punt, to just pin them back. And look, Cowboys got him to 4th and 1 at midfield. And Mariota had a tremendous ball fake, ends up going for 33 yards, set Washington up. Then they threw the game-winning touchdown with 3 seconds left. It was Terry McLaurin, who's battling Donovan Bland all game long.
That was a fun good versus good.
It was. And you had to know, hey, if they're going to throw it before kicking the field goal, that's probably the guy they're going to.
Yeah.
Donovan Bland catching up with Chris Arnold and the rest of the media postgame.
Daron, it's been a crazy ride this season. Can you talk about how you guys still put up a big fight today?
That's just a testament to our team. We were just trying to go out the right way. Fortunately, we came a little short, but we felt good. We fought hard.
You were all over McLaurin all game. I think you were spying him or shadowing him or rolling with him. But that one play, can you talk about that one play? He made a great catch, and it was a great throw, by the way. And you did everything you could do.
Yeah, it was just great by him. That's all. Pretty much all I like to say. I feel like I was in a good position. He made a good catch.
And finally, how your health? Because you started the season, it was like a surprise injury, and then you had to fight through it for a while. You feel really good right now?
I feel all right. Getting there close to 100%, but get ready back to off season, get healthy.
And finally, speaking of the off season, it happens at the end of every season. It's all over changing the rosters and whatnot. Does it feel any different this year, or do you I know you had some really close friends that's still on this team, but then last year you lost some too.
Yeah, it's like
part
every
of the
year.
Business?
Yeah, part of the business. But it's definitely going to be a little different this year. A lot of guys are on the last years of the deal, so it's going to be a lot different.
It is. You got Golston, a free agent, Jordan Lewis, a free agent, Rico Dowdle's a free agent. You got some restricted ones there. Kevontae Turpin, one of those. A lot of, and who knows about the staff, right? Everybody on the staff is out of contract.
Yeah.
So this is certainly.
It's going to be a busy off season for the Jones family, trying to get these deals all done, and then put this thing together for the draft. You and I will be starting the draft show on Tuesday on DallasCowboys.com. We'll have a lot of draft talk on 105.3 The Fan. You and I take a lot of pride in, in looking at these players, and we got a really great group of teammates too that are going to do the same. So it's going to be a really, really busy offseason for all of us.
877-881-1053, the number to call, the number to text. I'll get back to the phones here in just a second. Do want to give you a scoreboard update on what's going on around the National Football League. Cincinnati fans, they're not happy as Denver is destroying Kansas City. Now, the Chiefs pretty much punted on this game. They are resting all of their starters, including Travis Kelce, Pat Mahomes, Chris Jones, and the Broncos are up 31-0. Bo Nix has had himself a day.
Yeah.
304 yards, 4 touchdowns, 25 of 28. He's also added 47 yards on the ground. So in year 2 with Denver, with a rookie quarterback, your buddy Sean Payton, looks like they're going to be 10-7 and get that final wild card spot in the AFC.
Yeah, Sean has done a nice job there in Denver. There were a lot of problems there, and they made some really tough decisions. New ownership in there. They ate a lot of cap money. Stephen Jones talked about that with us when we asked him a question about, hey, here's Denver managing their cap with a rookie quarterback and all that. People don't want to hear that, but it's true. It's Sean doing a really, really nice job to get them in the playoffs. I don't think anybody wanted to face the Cincinnati Bengals.
No.
They
and especially Kansas City's like, please,
Cincinnati.
No. Denver win this one. We don't want them in.
5 straight victories for the Bengals here to finish out the season. Unfortunately, for the beginning of the season and the middle of the season, they just could not play good enough on defense. And some of those Joe Burrow games where he was just massive stats went by the wayside because they couldn't get off the field.
First time in history, you had the leading passer in the league, you had the leading touchdown receiver in the league, and
Not
the
in the
leading
playoffs?
sack artist in the league, and they didn't make the playoffs.
Yeah.
That is unbelievable for Cincy. Jets are up 15-6 on the Dolphins. Cincy did need the Dolphins to lose. That's happening. That might be Aaron Rodgers' last game in the NFL, possibly. Could just be with the Jets. Maybe he comes back with another team next year. But they're looking like they could win their finale, go up to 5-12 on the season. Bad news for Cowboy fans if you want to move up to the 11th overall pick. Need the Niners to beat the Cardinals. Arizona is up 26-17 right now with Josh Dobbs starting at quarterback. So that one would be, Arizona would be 8-9. You would definitely be drafting ahead of them, which you are right now, courtesy of Tankathon. You're at pick 12, they're at pick 13, but you needed San Francisco to get that win so you could jump up 12-11. So if that score holds, looks like your best case scenario is you've got that 12th overall pick, which not bad.
No.
I guess.
Put you inside the window of the 15 first-round grades. I know I have.
It absolutely does. Yeah. All right, back to the phones, 877-881-1053. Zach Wolchuk alongside the Super Bowl winning scout Bryan Broaddus as we hang out here in the Miller Lite Field Club at AT&T Stadium. Let's go back to Coach Davis in Kingsville. Coach, how are you? You got us now.
Man, finally, hey, guys, you guys have talked about so much. I called in thinking I was going to talk about the fourth down.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to talk about Zimmer a little bit. But really, in reality, I don't blame McCarthy. Maybe not take the 5-yard penalty, but if you go for it and you don't make it, they're gonna come back and win it anyway.
Sure.
You can kick the field goal, and he probably has a good chance to make it, but they come back and score a touchdown anyway. I'm okay with it. But whatever decision he made, I'm okay with it. I don't think that was a big issue. But here's a question I have for you guys. Let's say McCarthy doesn't want to do this, right?
Sure.
What would y'all think of Zimmer being the head coach and then bringing in an OC?
Yeah. I've talked with that's what something I said with Brad Sham.
Look, Zim, the last time I don't know. I might be wrong. It might not have been his initial hire, but I do remember Kevin Stefanski was his offensive tackle with Minnesota, who's gone on to be a 2-time coach of the year with Cleveland. That was a good offensive coordinator hire.
Yeah.
So if Zim's got somebody in mind like that, that could end up being – because one of my biggest fears here is – if you bring back Mike and you want continuity here, and you can do worse than Mike McCarthy, don't get me wrong. Mike's a winning head coach in this league. But part of that sell is the strength of the defense in the second half of the season and the job Zim did. So maybe, and does Zim want to be a head coach again? Does Zim want to coach here? All of that is stuff. I know postgame he was asked, he said, give him some time, and he'll think about that. He needs some time. But That's not something that I've always admired Mike Zimmer from afar. I think he's a hell of a coach, and I think he had some really, really good years there in Minnesota. Unfortunately, he didn't end the way that he wanted it to, but he had them on the cusp of, took them to an NFC Championship game with Case Keenum as a quarterback, so he's done some good things as well. Okay, Marcus in College Station. Marcus, you're on the official postgame show of the Dallas Cowboys.
Hey, guys, real quick, and then a follow-up question. Just my thing with Mike, I like Mike. I like the coach he is. When I look at his full body of work here in Dallas, the lack of red zone success and just the lack of creativity when it comes, Kevontae Turpin's been on this team. He was on these playoff teams. And just why does it take him so long to get players like this involved? Is it a politic thing? Is it, things coming from the front office? Or is it just him taking a while to see these things develop? Like a guy like Rico. Brian, you guys were doing groundwork early on in training camp and reading. You guys do a great job, by the way, but just reading y'all's reports, everyone knew that Rico was the best back here since July. So when I see things like that, if I were in a position like that, I strongly have to consider that and say, hey, man, you're just too slow with seeing things. And my last question with you guys would be, do y'all believe Mike McCarthy can commit to the running game if we were to retain him? Because if we bring him back, I'm with Brian. You got to go receiver. You got to get some help in here because I personally don't think he'll commit to the run game. Just look at his history going back to Green Bay. That's all I got, guys.
I'm with you on that, Marcus. I think there's times he can't help himself because he's preached the last 2 years, I want to run the football. And then there's times that we've seen you're actually running the ball pretty well, and then you look up and you've thrown the ball 40 times and run it 18. So I don't know. I don't know that he can commit to it.
Yeah, I don't. The thing that always bothers me about the way that players get used is you have 20-something coaches on staff, and and there's assistants to the assistants to the assistants, and nobody's in a staff meeting talking about well, hey, I was watching this tape of so and so, and they did this with their backs, and I did
stealing.
Yeah, it's stealing ideas and stuff, but it's like the caller said, it's a very slow to. Every time you hand the ball, what was it? Was it a 3rd and 13? Or was it a 2nd and 13? They handed the ball to Turpin and he got a first down.
Yeah.
But I know it was a 13-yard run. He gets the ball on the outside, he gets to the edge, and then he tight ropes the sidelines for a first down. And I'm thinking well, damn, every time you hand this ball to this guy, it's a 6, 7, 12, 13. They did not get to him fast enough. They didn't commit to Rico Dowdle fast enough. Uh-huh. That's the thing that started bothering me a little bit about this play calling.
All right, we will get our player of the game. We'll put a bow on this Cowboy season, and we'll hear more from your calls and texts 877-881-1053. We also have James NCA, the post game show. So if we don't get to your calls, don't worry. They've got you on the flagship 105.3 The Fan and the Odyssey app. Dallas Cowboys football will continue in a moment.
I'm Darren Woodson, former Dallas Cowboy player and Super Bowl champion. When I played in the NFL at a high level, I relied on my vision to see the field. As I started getting older, I noticed my vision wasn't as good.
Airlines. Proud to be the official airline of your Dallas Cowboys. And by Ford, your Texas Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas.
And here's a huge rush again on Daniels and Micah Parsons. How about a follow-up? How about number 2?
There's our player of the game, Micah Parsons, brought to you by Jack Black. Want to use with the pros? Use Jack Black as the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit getjackblack.com today. Micah, what a game it was, and it started really, really early on for the Lion as he was looking to try and get over 10 sacks of the season, get himself in NFL history with Reggie White and Derek Thomas and Dwight Freeney, only players to have 10 or more sacks in their first 4 years in the NFL. Well, he did it. It only took him one play to go ahead and get on the stat sheet with that sack. Finished with 2.5 on the day and finished with 4 total tackles as Micah Parsons was brilliant yet again. And afterwards, he caught up with Chris Arnold and the rest of the media.
What was the mentality?
Go out there early. I understand that, I had to go out there and be dominant early on. Don't wait for it because I understand that the offense might be a little slower with the QB change and how good they've been playing on defense. So we just try to be aggressive as possible early on.
And you also wanted the double-digit sacks, didn't you?
Yeah, I told you I was going to get that. I don't think it was ever in question.
And you took care of it right away.
Yeah, right away. I wasn't going to play with it.
When you reflect back on this season, what do you think will stand out when you think back to the 2024 Dallas Cowboys?
I think it's something that we should be proud of. I think this is a team that could have easily just said, man, we could throw in the towel, not care. I'm proud that we all came in every day with purpose to get better, to keep trying, even to this last game, keep trying to the end of the whistle. Yeah, we came up short to a playoff team, but like I said, that's a playoff team, and we're a broken team right now. A lot of Pro Bowlers and all pros out, dismantled team. So I would say, man, I'm really proud. Like, I know it's not something proud of to have a losing record and not be in playoffs, but how we finish and how we carry ourselves as men and as teammates, I'm proud of that.
Micah, we've talked a lot about contracts here and have taken a long time, especially big contracts. Would you like to be taken care of sooner rather than later?
Yeah, for sure, because then, I don't want to hold nobody up. I want to see some of these guys be back in this locker room. We have a great opportunity. I want to see change. I want to see players here. I want to be as aggressive as we can be. And, I don't want to be a headache to nobody. I want to, be as aggressive as possible.
There's no taken care of before you go to auction the contract.
Yeah, I would think so, or hope so.
There's no question this is where you want to be.
Yeah, this is where I want to be. You know what I'm saying? I called upon the star. I landed on it. I'm grateful. I feel like I got one of the best jobs in America. I'm just super grateful for the opportunity that Jerry Jones gave me. And, I don't take it for granted. Every time I'm on that field, I really try to take advantage of every opportunity now. I don't take it for granted at all.
There is Micah Parsons, our player of the game after this one. And, regarding that contract, Jerry said that he's actually going to be sitting next to Micah, so he's been told, at the Cotton Bowl. So maybe they'll have a conversation then to be able to get a head start on this thing.
There you go. That'll work.
Maybe parse through some stuff.
Yeah.
Also, shout out to Brandon Aubrey, first kicker in NFL history to make a mile's worth of field goals in a season. His 40 made field goals this year, including going 4 for 4 today, have totaled 1,769 yards. So Brandon Butter Aubrey also, if you're looking for bright spots this year, that's one right there. He continues to be an absolute badass. Plano's own, fellow Plano Wildcat there, Brandon Aubrey. Got to show him some love. 877-881-1053, the number to call, the number to text. We do have some rumor-rooskies already floating around in the NFL.
Sure.
Vrabel, apparently very strategic in the way he lined up that Jets interview last week, putting some pressure on Bob Kraft and the Patriots.
Sure did.
And from Aditi Kikabwala of NFL Network, that also had something to do with Bob Kraft saying, you know what, we're going to move on here.
I'm not going to lose this guy this time around, huh?
No, and there's a lot of momentum building that maybe it is indeed Mike Vrabel.
I'll tell you what, though, man, they had the first overall pick today, though, and they let that go.
Now they're down to 4. So it'll be Tennessee who's picking 1 overall. The Browns will have the 2nd overall pick. The Giants, who won last week and had the number 1 overall pick, they fell down to 3. then New England and Jacksonville will round out the top 5. Cowboys sitting there right now at pick 12, and based on the 49ers game and them losing to Arizona, seems like they're probably going to stay there at 12 overall, because then Arizona would win to improve to 8-9. Even if Miami loses, they'll be 8-9, and I think strength of schedule, so it'll be fine, and record-wise it doesn't matter. So you're pretty much locked in, barring a miracle comeback from the 49ers at the 12th pick. We can work with that.
We can work with that.
We can work with 12 overall. Elsewhere in the NFL, score-wise, we know it'll be Green Bay going to Philadelphia, the 7 versus 2 matchup. In the wild card round, it'll be Washington going to oh my gosh, who's the 3 seed right now? Why am I blanking on this?
Is that the Rams?
The Rams, yes. And then you'll have whoever loses tonight between the Vikings and the Lions. It's crazy to think you'd be a 14-win team, but you're going to be the 5 seed. And that's exactly.
Why am I liking all the road teams?
You kind of are. You're liking like whoever is the leader of that Vikings.
Liking all the road teams
going
right
to
now.
Tampa Bay and beating the Bucs, who won the NFC South today, as they beat New Orleans 27-19. I can't really fight you on that one. Chargers are right now up on the Raiders, 27-13, which would improve them to 11-6 on the season. We know Pittsburgh lost yesterday, 10-7. Yeah, so that would be you'd end up having them jump ahead of Pittsburgh, moving on up with the Chargers be. Yeah, so I think it'd be Steelers-Ravens in the first round of the playoffs, and then Denver's going to be going to Buffalo. And I think you'd have Chargers taking on Houston if I've got that all figured out. So that's kind of what you're looking at in the postseason next week. Okay, let's try fit in maybe one final call if we can. You're going to have probably about 30 seconds or less, okay? So make this one short and sweet. Let's go out to David, who's been waiting in Memphis. David, what's going on, man? Close us down.
Hey, man, well, I had 2 questions, but since we're on short time, I'll take it to one. So Jerry's sitting in his office. He's got a drink in his hand. He's looking out the window, contemplating the future. His thought process is one thing. How different is it if Belichick is still available? And I'll hang up and listen.
I don't think very different at all.
No.
I think, honestly, if he wanted Bill, they would have kind of talked about that.
They would have back-channeled this thing, and Jerry would have told him, you stay out, I'm going to make this decision, and we'll talk right after the season. I don't think Bill got any assurance that he was going to get this job, and that's why he took the North Carolina job.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one 100%. 23-19, Commanders beat the Cowboys 7-10 this year in what was a very, really from the get-go. Outside of that Cleveland game, week 1, had us very, very excited. Then they came back and got some humble pie. Got absolutely blown out by New Orleans. The Baltimore game was tough. They set a record for being down 20-plus points in the fourth quarter at home in NFL history. There were certainly some low lows, did have some highs as well. Thank you to everybody who's been a part of this one. But, Brian, if you put a bow on this 2024 season, any final thoughts there?
No, I just want to thank you and thank the crew that we get to work with every single weekend to do this. A lot of guys behind the scenes that do great, great work, and we really do appreciate everything, the efforts that everybody makes. And, we'll get ready for this draft and try and rebuild this team the best we can and reconvene in Oxnard and talk about it again.
Yeah, thank you so much to Peyton Russell, who produces every single week. We love you. Ruben out here, who does an excellent job engineering and spends many, many hours. Of course, Tim Collins and Gavin Spittle, who run things for us. Brad, Babe, Christy, they're the best in the business. Bob Thomas, the statistician, who's fantastic. Zero, my guy, Zach Rowe. We've got, of course,
Bobby Belt, too.
Bobby sick today. Get better, buddy. We got, of course, Kevin Walker back there, Chris Strong, Ross Lubinski, Trevor, Justin Honore, a lot of really, really good people that make this thing happen behind the scenes. We love you. And thank you to everybody who's been a part of this with us every single week, even if we're fighting with each other. It's all in passion of Dallas Cowboys football, like I said earlier. So we'll be back for the 2025 season. That's the Super Bowl winning scout, Bryan Broaddus. I'm Zach Wolchuk. Until then, hugs and hand pounds, everybody. We love you. You're listening to the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
Hey Cowboys fans, the Bahamas is calling. Start planning your ultimate getaway today at Bahamas.com